Otherwise, I'm good.
Welcome. Today is Wednesday, the 17th of September. It is now 5:31, and welcome to the Williams and Travis County Municipal Utility District Number 1. First, let's go ahead and stand and do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence. Okay, Christopher O'Toole.
Here, one second. Sorry, I'll get the timer going so that you can.
All right, can you give me like a...
Yeah, whenever you start, I'm good.
Okay, thank you. All right. First of all, thank you for reading all of my emails. I know they're long and I send a lot, but I appreciate that you've taken the time to read those. I see that the district has a proposed budget for 2026, and it looks like it's almost $200,000 over budget. And it looks like a big part of that is deed enforcement, and I know there's other things like public records requests. And it looks like the annualized 2025 budget for deed enforcement is over budget by over $100,000. So if there's a potential for bonds, that's concerning to me because it doesn't look like you're trying to budget anymore. And from the deed restriction perspective, I know a subset of that is for overnight detours. And for the overnight detours, you're not enforcing those equally. Hunters Glen 1 versus Hunters Glen 2, word for word, it's pretty much the same deed restrictions. They're both on Old Mill, for example, but you're not enforcing it for one, but you are for the other. And it doesn't seem like an overnight parking on the street will really affect property values. But what it does do is it causes people to park on the sidewalks. So then you've got people with strollers or kids on bikes and scooters that are having to dart out on the street because we've got cars blocking sidewalks because people don't want the Instagram about parking on the street. I feel like there's transparency issues. Everyone feel like ran with transparency as something they would root for and help improve. I feel like we've got less and less board packets posted to the website than ever before. I have to go to a website that you don't like to get the full board packet. But because of that, I don't have to submit public information requests anymore because it's all published there.
That's 2 minutes. That was 2 minutes.
Oh, that was 2 minutes already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Can you set your alarm on so that we know?
Oh yeah, you mean the sound?
Yeah, the sound, yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna sound like an old person, but I can figure it out. Yeah.
Tina?
2 minutes. 1 second. Alright, let's see if this works. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Let's call this what it is. Government issue iPads were confiscated under false pretenses and then handed over to the very lawyer representing this board against its own residents. A recent PIR confirmed it. You didn't just overstep, you crossed a line. Just more lies from Beth Jones to serve herself. Those iPads belong to the taxpayers. They are tools for board business, not evidence to be weaponized in a lawsuit against the community. This was done in secret, outside the chain of command, and it reeks of retaliation and abuse of power. We know what's going on here, and the residents see it too. If this board can't operate with transparency and follow its own rules, then you've lost the public's trust. Return the devices and stop using taxpayer resources to play legal games against the very people you were elected to serve.
You ready?
Yeah, that was
Linda?
like 50 seconds.
What an eye-opening morning at the Williamson County Courthouse. We sat through motions from both sides, and the judge has taken them under advisement. No ruling yet. Check meducation.org for updates. What's already clear is this. None of the four of you steering this district into the dirt has bothered to read the Infomark contract. Or you simply don't care. You approve their invoices without holding them to the terms you're paying for. The $54,235 every month in their base fee isn't pocket change. It's supposed to cover 2 full-time staff, 1 for customer support, 1 field technician, plus a general manager devoting 40% of their time here, and an operations manager spending 50% of hers. That's what the contract promises. We don't get those services. Instead, we get padded invoices and double billing for work Schedule A already includes in the base fee, and you rubber stamp the checks. The so-called Bills and Invoices Committee is either asleep at the wheel or complicit, including Rocco, who raised Infomark's base fee from $24,000 to over $50,000 back in 2018 under the banner of direct support for residents. Meanwhile, month after month, you sign off on payments for services we don't receive and pay twice as much for services we've already bought. Artisans playing the same game. I've flagged this repeatedly to the Bills and Invoice Committee, and you've chosen not to act. Residents deserve accountability, not a board that shrugs while our money is siphoned off. Visit meducation.org for a clear accounting of where your tax dollars are really going.
Rebecca Sperling? Resident or non-resident?
Resident, owner.
Okay, thank you.
I see a ton of disrespect on this board. This is the first time I am coming. This is because of a letter that you mailed that was not signed by a single person on this board, but attacked residents and board members. You are wasting our money on a personal vendetta. They're not attacking you. They're attacking the way you're treating us and our money. The reason people are looking elsewhere is because of how much it costs. There are nicer communities where the board members are not rude. You refuse to maintain eye contact with me and with them. It's disrespect. Your budget looks ridiculous. You've doubled your expenditures on multiple line items. We should not be paying extra for these public record requests that you have delayed providing. You did not listen to the judge when they ruled in Linda's favor that you were withholding information. This board is a government entity and needs to show the same transparency that every other government agency does. This is not the federal government. You should not be treating us like you are in the White House.
Rebecca Sperling.
Raj would like to speak as well. He wasn't up there. Yeah.
Raj?
Hi, apologies for being late. Raj Chowdhury, resident, renter. We just received a notification about overnight parking, and I went and I checked the deed restrictions, and really, we just want to make sure we're following the rules and just wanted to double check the right way to do it. I will note, I've worked in the automotive industry for a number of years, and cars have changed in size. Since the deeds restrictions were put in place in '95, cars are on average 2 feet longer and 6 inches wider. So we've got 2 kids with cars. We can maybe get 1 car in the garage, 2 in the driveway, 3 if we block the sidewalk. So we end up having to park something on the street overnight. And we just want to figure out the right way to do it. So that was my only question. I apologize if this is not the best forum, but just want to make sure that it got to the right folks. Thanks.
Hold on.
Oh, sure.
I want to answer, we do have a procedure for changing the deed restrictions.
Right.
And that would be one that I would suggest that you investigate
Okay.
in whatever section that you're, well, where are you? Like Glen Oaks?
Anderson Mill West.
Okay,
Just
then I
around
would
there.
suggest that we've done it before, we went door to door
Okay.
to see if we could get 50% to
Right.
change. And that's what I would suggest.
Okay.
We're in, you're on the other side of El Salido.
Yes.
Yeah,
Behind
okay.
Cypress Hill.
Yeah, because the whole rest of Andersonville West doesn't have that
Right.
parking. It's only that side of El Salido
Right.
that has the no parking on the streets.
Okay. And then if I could follow up with a question, just
You
if we
can.
have a question on particulars about the overnight parking in 72 hours straight. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if we rotate vehicles, is it any car there for more than 3 days straight? Because we can also park in the driveway sometimes. We're constraining what we can do without blocking the sidewalks. And we want to make sure we're not blocking the sidewalk.
Well, anybody that's blocking on the sidewalk, I can assure you, there's some sort of rule, it's probably a county rule about that. So that's just a different enforcement.
Okay.
So,
Quick note on that is the blocking the sidewalk is actually against the law. There is.
yeah, that's what I meant.
So,
Right.
I would encourage people not to block sidewalks.
Right. So-
And parking in the street, the TCEQ, the water code gives us the authority to enforce deed restrictions if it is the determination of the board that it affects property values. So just for food of thought, how does it affect property values in your section of the district, where in my section of the district it doesn't, and I'm allowed to. So one can contest that it has to be fair throughout. How can it affect property values in your section where it doesn't affect it in my section? And that's where it would come down to a court to really determine who is right and who is wrong. I know people don't want to lawyer up because it's very expensive. The hassle is just, it's a big hassle. But I would definitely recommend what Director Rocco has said.
Right.
I'm willing to knock doors with you, for you,
Yeah.
to get a
I'll do it
petition.
too.
I did happen to look into that. It looks like it can only come up for a vote every 5 years, if I'm not mistaken.
That can even be adjusted, if
Okay.
you can show it's an emergency.
Okay, so I happen to be an attorney. I'm not wearing that hat while I'm here as a resident. So the concern we have is we're in a position basically where we can't comply with the deed restrictions. We can't, unless we break the law by blocking the sidewalk. And we can't do that either, right? So we're kind of stuck.
You can't get the cars in the garage?
So the house was built in 94 and 95, was built for cars the way they were sized at that time. We do have one 15-year-old car that is small enough to fit in the garage. And there's no real storage in the house, so we just end up with, our tools. and
Like
things
most
that.
people.
Like most people, right? So we've got one in the garage. We can easily get two in the driveway, but my wife's got a truck, right? And trucks are bigger today than they were 30 years ago. My car is bigger than cars were 30 years ago. So the only way to get three in the driveway and one in the garage is if we block the sidewalk. So we usually put the fourth on the street, and then we can rotate who's on the street. But, or we can park, down the street where we're not directly in front of somebody's house. We're trying to look at what we can do so that we are still doing our best to comply with the rules and in the spirit of the rules, but we're just kind of stuck. And we're a renter. We have our lease here through next summer. So we're also in a position where we're not a landowner, we're not necessarily here long-term. So while I appreciate the ability to go and knock doors and things like that, I know with the length of time that takes, we may never see the benefit of that. And in the meantime, we just want to make sure we're not breaking the rules, we're not getting fined, we're not getting our homeowner fined.
It's a hard neighborhood.
Yeah, and as far as break the rules, we'll have the same, I don't want to say the number of them, but there are people over there that want us to enforce that rule, and when they come up here and they say, we want you enforced the no parking on the street,
Yeah. There's also a rule that says no more than 2 cars
Two
visible.
cars visible.
Right?
Absolutely,
So
so we need
how
to
does
enforce that too.
Yeah, how do you do that when you have 4
Yep.
cars in the household?
You're gonna enforce rules, enforce them fairly across the board.
Right?
you know, if you lease, I know the standard Texas lease contract says that you'll comply with the deed restrictions, and I bet you your lessor didn't even provide them to you when you leased your property, did he?
Yeah, we were just told something vague about no parking on the street. I contacted the county and I contacted the city and inquired with each of those groups to say, is there any rule about parking on the street? They pulled the codes and they checked and they said, no, nothing, you know, go park on the street.
Yeah.
They said Cedar Park's pretty, free about things like that because we came from an area that was much more restrictive.
This board also has the discretion to not enforce certain rules, so it would really be up to 3 of us to vote, let's not. So if you can get on some other people's good side, you may have a chance.
Okay, so again, we're doing everything we can to comply. We want to comply. We're in a position where it is physically impossible to comply unless we sell off a car, and that runs counter to, I think, everything the deed restrictions are meant to.
Do you agree, though, that your lessor did you a disservice by not telling you about those rules?
So I'm sure somewhere in the lease it says something about deed restrictions.
Line 18.
And they vaguely told us about not parking on the street, but I couldn't find anything, again, checking with the city and the county.
They're different than ours.
Yeah.
I recognize that, but that was the first place I went, was I'll call city, I'll call the county office and say, what are the rules, because we want to follow the rules, and they said they didn't have any record of anything, so we were just surprised then when we got the notice about the deed restriction on that.
Have to pay taxes differently, and we have these.
And those rules are on the owner's mortgage, his
Right.
deed of trust.
Okay.
Yeah, because they go back to
We have a long
the
night.
neighborhood.
We have a long night, or I wouldn't,
Yeah.
we have a really
All
long
right.
night.
Appreciate your time, thank
You're
you.
Thank
welcome. Okay, we've got number 5. We're going to do our consent agenda items.
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda items as stated.
Second that. The only thing I'll comment to that is it's just the August 25th meeting minutes. The September 8th meeting minutes will be presented at your next meeting. They
Thank
just
you.
weren't prepared in time. So it's you're consenting because it's just the August 25th.
Okay. Any discussions? Okay. All in favor?
I'm gonna abstain, I wasn't able to read through the minutes.
4. Okay, bookkeeper's report.
I thought that's part of the consent agenda.
No, it
No,
was
it gets
not.
bumped because you have to do a motion for the budget.
Oh, okay.
Is Kim on? See Kim do it? Kim, are you with us?
Kim, are you able to?
This is Lisa Rickard.
Hi, Lisa.
I don't know if Kim is not able to get through. Kim, are you able to? Lisa? Yes, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, go ahead and do the report, Kim, I'll do the budget. Hello?
Yes,
We're here.
we're waiting.
Oh, I apologize. Okay, I'll go forward. Okay, if you turn to page 2 on your bookkeeping report, you've got your summary of funds. In your checking and investment, you have $5,680,130. Okay, I'll go forward. Okay, if you turn to page 2 on your bookkeeping report, you've got your summary of funds. Yeah, I'm getting an echo.
Sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
Like, I am getting a delay.
She said page 2. What page did you say?
We don't have the bookkeeping report, it was not printed.
I'm gonna try to keep going, and it's like I'm hearing myself
You did?
delayed
Okay.
by a few seconds. Okay, in your tax fund, you have $90,535.62. You turn to page 3.
cash flow in your new first checking account. The beginning balance was $151,352.60. You've got receipts of $497,225.61. And disbursements of $443,234.94. Leaving a balance of $205,343.27. The items that are highlighted in blue are checks, payments for directors for fees of office. In green is the holding checks, checks 1783 through 1787, or checks that you previously approved. And those are the payments that were made with those checks. And at the very end, checks 1826 to 1830 are checks that we're asking you to approve so that we're able to make those payments in a timely manner and not get a late fee. We don't get the invoice in time for the meeting. Does anyone have any questions about any of the expenditures or receipts on pages 3 and 4?
Lisa, I don't have the report in front of me, but when I was overlooking it, there was, I thought, a discrepancy between the payroll for Mr. Maldonado and his invoice. The numbers didn't seem to match. Would you be able to check that for me really quick?
Yeah,
I'm here. So, Mr. Flores, are you speaking about, I made corrections and updated on the invoice?
I saw the corrections, yes, ma'am. And the corrected
Yes.
amount, you said X amount of dollars minus the discount for no taxes, it's like 600, correct? Something in
Yes.
that nature?
You know what? And I said that the $900 on there was correct. It's not. And so if you will look at the bookkeeper's report, down where it says ADP and his name, there's 2 entries, and they're both only for $750. So I did correct, because once I added it up again, the very first invoice, it said 900, and I went back in, added it up, and adjusted it to 750.
Okay, so it is matching the GL code in the report, because that's where, GL code's for last month, isn't it?
Yes,
That's
yes,
right,
the
yeah.
GL code would be for
Last month.
last month.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense, all right. Sorry for
All right.
sorry, board, for confusion.
okay. Is there anybody else have any other questions? Okay, I'm going to move to page 5. So this is the cash flow for the central bank account. And so beginning balance $274,174.91, and we have receipts that have come through $232,505.70, and disbursements of $450,118.74. And of course, we're sweeping that money out of the operator account into the checking account, leaving a balance of $26,561.87. The next bank account is the Cadence checking with $4,222.01, and we've made an adjustment. So we're working towards closing this account, and so we're making an adjusting journal entry and dispersing $16,179 out of the account, leaving a 0 balance, and that won't show up on the next report. Page 7, this is your Cadence Bank reservations account, beginning balance $13,168.74. You have receipts of $712.78, disbursements of $663, leaving a little over $13,000 in balance. And then the manager's account. This account is another account that we're working towards closing, but we still need to verify there's still outstanding items in here. So we're trying to work with the auditor to make sure that we've cleared that out, make an adjustment journal entry, and we can also close that account because you don't use that account anymore, like we used to with Infomart. Pages 9 and 10 is your actual versus budget. If it's okay with you, I was going to, instead of looking at these pages, we're going to be looking at the budget, which basically has that information in it. And then we can look at the comparisons as to what our year-to-date actuals are, what the estimated final will be, and then compare your 25 budget and then what you're projecting for your 26 budget. So if it's okay with the board, I'd like to move on to page 11. Page 11 is just a reminder of the conference attendance for AWTD. It's in Houston this winter. Registration has been open now for quite a while, and you've got the dates and information that you need if you decide to register for that. Okay, and now we get to page 12. And Cole, I don't know if the board wants to approve the bookkeeper's report and then do the budget separately.
Yeah, let's,
Beth?
with the board's approval, I think that would be a cleaner way to do it.
Okay, anybody want to make a motion on that? I'm fine with. Do we need to make a motion on that, Cole, or can we
Yes,
just report?
motion to approve the bookkeeper's report and disbursements therein.
I'll make a motion, we approve the bookkeeper report.
And I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Perfect. Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay, thank you. So the budget that is attached to the original report that was sent to you, I think I've been discussing this with some of the board members, and please, Cole, stop me if I'm not doing an accurate description of the changes that have happened in the legislature. After this past legislature, a few things that have changed. One of them is the agenda has to be posted 3 business days as opposed to 72 hours in advance, which means we have to get a little further out, so a little bit earlier. For this meeting, Thursday is the absolute last day that we could do that. What has also happened is every time there's a line item on the budget that on the agenda that is going to discuss the budget, whether it's to review, amend, then there is now a new requirement that along with posting the agenda for notice of meeting, you also have to post a copy of the budget that you're going to be discussing or reviewing and a taxpayer impact statement, which before September 1st, which was 2 weeks ago, no one had ever had to do that before, and there was no clear direction from the legislature as to what that report should look like. And Cole, am I pretty much on target right now?
You are.
Okay, so all of this information has to be turned in advance, and whatever we did turn in is what also has to be presented at the meeting. Now, it doesn't mean that the board can't change the budget, but what it did cause is wherever we were at that point over a week ago is the budget that was included in the notice that went out. So you should have received a separate, another budget, sort of a supplement, not really a supplement, but a change to the budget. We're going to be looking at that because there were just a few changes. They weren't very big, but there were a few changes, so we're going to go ahead and incorporate that into the budget. So I know Kim printed off additional copies just in case, and those were included in the packet we sent. Were the board members able to get that? It's a 3-page document just with the budget on it?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, great. So just to review this again, it's been a year since we've done this. So this is, of course, the copy of your general ledger and all of your accounts, your chart of accounts for your operating. The first column is your annual, and that's through the point in time when you started reviewing this through June. Now we've annualized that number, meaning we have calculated based on the data we had what it would be as of 9/30, which is when your fiscal year end is. And the third column is the approved 2025 budget that you adopted last year. And then the fourth column is the proposed budget for the 2026 year, which would begin October 1st of 25 and go through September 30th of 26. Now, based on the discussions that the board had in the past, and information that's come off of the Truth in Taxation worksheet, which talks about, and you guys have discussed already, the amount of M&O tax that you're able to levy. And if you were to levy what is allowed for in that worksheet, we have calculated what that tax rate would be at a 98% collection rate. So if you look at the very top line under maintenance tax revenue, we have $2,492,000. And we have that number in there right now. Until you adopt a tax rate, that's just the number we put in at this point, is what you could adopt. After that, water service, sewer service, and base service revenue, these adjustments were made to become in line with what you've been paying or receiving, in the past year. And just a reminder, revenue from water can depend on the temperature. We've had a very mild summer. So, it depends on, it could be a lot hotter sometimes, and that means you're pumping more water, so you're receiving more revenue, but then you're also paying more expenses on the other side. So, just a reminder that we can never predict this 100% unless we knew what the weather was going to be like next year. And none of us can do that.
Lisa, may I interrupt really quick on that point of the water revenue that we receive? I believe that it's also, we need to take in consideration the percentage of water loss every month. This last month it was at 75% collection that we were able to account, and that is a loss of revenue that we do not collect. So I think we need to be cautious of that. If we keep losing more water every month, we're going to lose revenue, and we're not going to have that income to supplement the water being lost. Thank you, Lisa.
So David, I don't have a copy, I'm sorry, I'm in a hotel right now, I don't have a copy of the operator's report. Are you saying that the water accountability is 75%?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry?
Yes, ma'am, 75.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times that's a 1 month thing, so I can't speak to that. Of course, the operator can. It's the average over the year that you're going to look at, and sometimes there can be certain things that can cause that. And again, I'm not an operator, but I've been around long enough. It depends if there was a break in the system, something happened, there was something in the line, and they had to bleed a lot of hydrants. So sometimes those numbers can look pretty bad, and but sometimes it's, and again, I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to continue on. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so penalties and interest. Again, we've tried to keep it with what's similar to last year. So pretty much on the revenue side, interest on investments, we've put that lower than your actual because we're seeing a steady decline in interest rates. And so I like to be more conservative in estimates. I'd rather put it lower and then get more income than we expected. But we should still expect to get a fairly significant amount of money. And then under other income, Kim, if you could follow up here on this one, I believe this was a one-time at $104,245. Was that insurance or?
That was a payment received on a claim.
Yeah, okay. So again, we're going to go back to 500, which is a placeholder for any small incidentals that come in for it. So we are proposing that your income would be $5,292,730. Under expenses, again, bulk water, wastewater, all of these things are gonna be, you know, we're trying to look at last year and we're looking at this year, on the numbers. So we're trying to come up with what we think are our best estimates, but again, it's hard to say. Those prices are going to depend on the weather and the usage, so we don't know exactly what that's going to be. Under professional fees, we have a small increase in legal fees, and then we've taken this category, legal fees, restrictive covenants, and upped it from 2,000 to 12,000, and this is my understanding would be for if there are any legal fees incurred in the in the case that we need to use that for enforcement of deed restrictions. Records request, we had 2,000 last year, it was 30,000, and the committee decided to set it at 45,000 since there's been an uptick over the year in record requests. So I think it's safer to put that number at 45,000. Bookkeeping fees, due to a large number of requests for public information, that's caused us to do a lot of additional research and spend a lot of additional time. Has caused us to go up. It's strict. Our base fee is not any different. It's based on the hourly. So we're just trying to match it up. And it may go down. It just depends on the amount of additional requests that we get. Financial advisor, we haven't used that category, but the committee decided to leave it as is. Auditing fees, we heard from the auditor that fees are going to go up about $1,500, so we made that adjustment. Tax assessor, those fees come from the two counties, so we've left that the same. Operator fees, this comes directly from your operator based on, well, I'm sorry, maybe it doesn't. Elizabeth, I'll let you respond to that, but we're 633 is what we're projected for the end of the year. And so that number was set at 650 by the committee. Engineering fees stay the same at 60, and engineering fees for lead and copper are going to be going up because of those additional requirements. And that number is 43,800, and then total contracted service, total professional fees, is 1,012,550. Anybody have any questions before I move on?
When you made for the operator fees, was the new contract in consideration when adjusting that amount, and was Infomark in on that conversation? Is that how we got to that 650,000?
Yeah, I'm going to let you respond to that, if that's okay.
That's fine. I did send out the report. That number is not inclusive of what the new contract is.
Okay.
So it's really based along the line of what has happened this year, and we upped it just a little bit, but I did not go factor in, and we agreed to not factor it in until the contract was approved.
That's 12 months at our current base.
Right, so I'm just...
And the proposed change is much less.
Yeah. Thank you, that's it, thank you so much.
All right. I'm going to move on to contracted services insurance. We're bumping that up a little bit. We're seeing increases across the board in insurance. We've got a typo here. Somehow 5503 has lost its description, so I'm going to let you figure that out real quick, and I'm going to move on to electricity.
That's fine.
Electricity, we're just going to leave it the same as it was before. That's another funny thing that can go up on you all of a sudden, so we'd rather be a little conservative and leave it at 6,200, because we still don't know the final numbers. And electricity for irrigation, again, we adjusted up just a little bit from what we're seeing in actuals. Trash, that that is a pretty structured number, based on looking at the contract and the agreement. I'm not sure why we originally budgeted, and maybe we had some misinformation for 16. But trash is usually a pretty concise, predictable number. So we're sticking with last year and a slight adjustment. Mowing and landscaping is the same. Fire protection, again, that's like a fixed fee. So deed management services. So this was a new line item that was added after the budget was finalized last year. And so we are setting that number at 64,000 based on the data that we have and the numbers that we have in the agreement. Under security patrol, we've reduced that number. The committee has discussed, and the board I know has discussed reducing the amount of hours. And then roving patrol is 0. Payroll taxes for security, we don't pay them as employees anymore. They're all 1099. So that went away. Then security and FOB system, that went up to 6,500. And then the vehicle, there's no longer a vehicle that we're paying for it. Night watchman lights, that number, we've adjusted slightly based on what we're seeing coming in.
And Lisa, before you end this section, the one that, the typo, it is G5205, that's the website.
Thank you. And these numbers are based off of information that we've been given about what the cost is going up. I've seen it across the board. It's a combination of increased expenses, and also if you're going to have a website, the legislature has once again required that more information be tracked. And am I in line here, Cole, with what's driving up some of these website costs?
Yeah, there's definitely more information that has to be made available on websites, yes.
And so that's costing you, because the more time, the more information that has to be constantly updated and monitored. Of course, that's going to cost you. So total contracted services, we're budgeted to be $1,526,842. So under maintenance and repairs. So under general maintenance and repairs, we've eliminated this category and are going to be more specific about where we're designating the maintenance and repairs. Under water, so this item was $50,000 last year. We're keeping it the same. The actual's pretty close. For the walls, the wall repair, leaving it $10,000. I think the committee felt like we're going to still try to get that project accomplished. Same with power washing and manholes. So those are items staying on the budget that didn't get accomplished last year or only partially accomplished. Sewer maintenance and repairs, that number is staying about the same. Well, it's been adjusted to look at what it was this year. Lift station, keeping that number the same from last year. Storm water system. Again, stormwater system, we're keeping that number a bit higher this time because our actuals are 26, so now we've upped it to 30. Tree trimming, again, left it the same, but we didn't do any tree trimming, so hopefully accomplish that this year. And then on the tennis courts, I think the thought was to reduce. There's been some work that was done this year, and so we're going to reduce that, we're going to leave that number at about 5,000 in anticipation of doing anything.
And the next line item, is 5350, and it's M&R, maintenance and repair for other. What fitting in there was a repair that, I can't remember the exact thing, but it was something that wasn't part of the normal repairs. It was a little small something, and so we kept the budget at 0 because that wasn't a normal occurrence.
Okay, so total budget for that, 309,100. And administrative, so director fees, that's the maximum they can be because directors are capped out at 7,200 per year for 5 directors. Expenses, we didn't have anything last year for director expenses, but with directors attending conferences, this would be the reimbursement for, would it be travel, accommodations, meals, those would be those expenses, and moving that number to 8,000. And then payroll taxes and fees, we're bumping that number up a little bit to match with the actuals. Election expense, so Cole, I'm going to ask you for your opinion. 2026 is an election year. However, your election takes place after your fiscal year.
That's right.
So, but expenses are incurred
Prior.
to that.
Correct.
Even if an election gets canceled. So, if you could maybe give me some direction, Cole, as to what you think it's, by September 30th, if we were to call an election, if it were not to be canceled, what number would you feel comfortable with?
I think if you move that $500 up to $1,000, that would just cover, move it to $2,500, that'll cover advertisement in the paper. The district won't pay any contract fees to any county until after the election, after the counties close their books on the election. And then I guess it would depend on, my fees involved would be minimal, and it would I would include that under legal, unless the board gave me directive to open up a new matter number for election expenses only. But I would say do 2,500 for the sake of the argument now, and then next year you could do 1,000, and that would cover it. Because next 2026, that 1,000 would cover the balance probably.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, conference expenses. So this is the cost of registering for the conferences. AWBD has 2 conferences a year, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of the one that's Case. Case also, they're averaging around $500 for registration for director for conference. And after that, we have legal notices. So we didn't have any expenditures. Usually that number is a little lower for other districts, and it's just for different times when cost of posting notices. Cole, what do you recommend we set that number at?
For which one? Legal notices?
Legal notices, 5422.
I mean, the breakdown is so specific to each little thing. The legal notices that we would file would be related to the election expenses.
Yeah.
We're gonna send something to the county tonight for the district's information form for the notice to purchasers. That's won't affect this budget. I think you could leave it at 2,000 with the understanding that legal notices is associated with election expenses. Those are pretty much the only things we would be providing notices for.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Okay, storage unit. Yeah. So we've seen those costs go up a little bit. But just out of safety, we've increased it by, I think we did about 10%. Bank charges, probably trying to stay around what we've seen in charges. State assessment fees, these are fees that come from TCEQ and other agencies, so we'll leave that pretty much there. Permits, again, these permits, TCEQ, so we're looking at what's comparable to what we're seeing this year. The reservation system fee, so this is the fee you pay for the fee that you pay for that system that tracks your reservation. So we've lowered that number a little bit to be commensurate with what the actual expenses are. And then we have other, we bumped that up a little bit to $2,300 for a total of $81,360. Anybody have any questions besides what discussions Cole and I had on that section? Okay. The next section is park expenses. So this is the area that's probably seen the most changes, other than just, evaluating from previous year and looking at future expenses. Anderson Mill Park Electric is
Loser.
That was not very
Hello?
close.
Were you there, Lisa?
Nope.
That was like bunk.
Let's see, I'll continue then until she's there. So Anderson Mill Park Electric will remain the same, $1,100 for the budget. Anderson Mill Park Janitorial will remain the same, $88.20. Anderson Mill Park Maintenance and Repairs, it has increased. There are items that need to be approved or to pass code, and so they have budgeted $258,000 to make all of the corrections that need to be made at the parks. The Anderson Mill Park Disc Golf will remain the same, $5,000. Astor Park Electric, $600. Astor Park M&R, it increased from $3,500 by $7,000 to $10,500, and that was also for improvements.
I have a question before we go down the list. What was the number for G5503?
G5503,
Yeah, Anderson Mill Park, M&R?
$258,000.
That doesn't line up with our assessment with two of our companies we met during Parks Committee, correct? Wasn't that bill,
That was just for that one that was just pretty small.
It was around
It was 100,
110,
yeah, and this is.
that last quote.
This is for the whole year.
okay.
With that being said, we can adjust if that number was too high.
Yeah, I think the number's too high, for sure.
No, I didn't keep it the same.
Yeah, but the number does not match the. The number does not, I'm speaking very loud. Okay. All right. The number does not match precisely the number that we've talked about when we went out there and inspected. So I'm interested to know if we added in there the additional repair cost throughout the year.
You did? Yes.
All right.
So, this is safety. This is what we're doing, is safety.
You're doing the safety and getting rid of some of that sand pit.
So-
Replacing it.
I think that, yes, I agree with
Fall on the 5-year plan.
with safety is our priority number one. But being certain things have come up, I think we need to really look at that number as well. I agree it's too high. So I don't want to take up, we could discuss it later.
I agree too, though.
Yeah, and maybe we can have an open discussion
Yeah.
around dropping that number.
Yeah.
Because my understanding that we do have to have priority ones. they are safety, major safety concerns at our park that needs to be repaired. Nonetheless, the 258,000, I think, might be a little bit over.
It includes more than,
Don't we have any
That's
money?
for your, that is for your parks next year.
Don't we have any money left over from this year's budget that we haven't used to use towards that high priority? And then this way we can lower that one and balance it out, so we don't have
I
to.
believe we
so-
do have some balance left over.
So the
Well,
258 was
From the
supposed to
bookkeeper
include all the
standpoint,
parks.
you know, the invoice, the work has to be done and the invoices have to be received within the budget period.
I understand.
So you can't really,
We
because you
can-
saved money this year.
We can
It's-
start
if
some
it's-
this year, finish that, what we have.
We can't, because it had to be completed by the time the budget ended, and that can't happen.
And again, this might be a good
tried
conversation
that.
to have it, so that way we can make a holistic decision with possibly bond issuance. I know, I'm not talking about bonds for parks, but I'm talking about if we are considering bonds for other areas of infrastructure, then does it make sense to do the full repair that you're talking about? But it might not make sense, so I don't know, I'm just saying it's a little bit high, that's all, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so continuing, after Astor Park, M&R, then there's Hatch Pond Park, M&R. That will remain at $3,500. Lakeline Oaks Electric, we increased it just a little bit based on the annualized amount that we have showing. So we increased that to $4,600. The Lakeline Janitorial will remain we actually decreased it from last year's budget to $8,350 to put it more in line with the annualized amount. Lakeline Oaks M&R, last budget was budgeted for $45,500, and we decreased that to $16,000. Lakeline Oaks Building M&R has been decreased from $14,835 to $5,000. And the internet for Lakeline Oaks remains the same at $1,900. The Old Bill Gazebo M&R, we left that at $1,500. Sunchase Electric remains at $400. We have the Sunchase M&R, it remains as well at $10,000. Valente M&R, because of the safety and the codes, that increased from $3,500 to $65,000. All park supplies, based on our annualized payments that we've made, we increased that from $1,900 to $29,400. And then there's parks, other expenses. We increased it from $1,100 to $12,000. So for the parks expenses, budgeted amount is $441,670.
Hey, Kim, not to interrupt the role that you're on, but when you get a chance, can you send that revised budget? The budget that's attached to your report on the Google Drive is not accurate.
Correct, because,
Yes.
well, we were told that what is attached to the packet had to remain the same as the one that you turned in. That's why we sent the supplement to the board so that they could see these updated numbers that they requested.
I understand. I'm just asking for a copy of it after the meeting, that's all.
Okay, that's fine, I can get.
Thank you.
And I'm back, I'm sorry, I actually made it all the way through the budget. I thought I was doing such a great job, nobody had any comments, but apparently that wasn't the case.
I had
There's a connection.
a question on all park supplies. How do we miss that last budget where it went from $1,900 to $29,000? How did we not get that right last year. What falls under that category that caused us to go past by 19?
I do not know right off the top of my head, but I can pull and give you the breakdown for that line item so that we can see. I can check it, and by the time we have finished going through, I can give you an answer, okay?
Okay, because it just, for me, to encompass all parks, supplies, it just, does it really break it down for the people to see, okay, this park is getting used a lot more supplies in this park versus this park? I like a little more detail when it comes to expenses, especially when it's 29,000, when it jumps that much. I'd like to know what park has the most usage and is needing the most amount of money. So just something that really jumped out at me. And then the other expenses jumps up almost, $10,000? So that's another one, how we miss other, and how those are being categorized as well.
So David, you're right. I mean, how do we go from 1,900 to 29,000? So a couple of different reasons, and Kim's gonna get you those exact numbers. Sometimes it depends on how those invoices are coded for us. If they don't give us specific enough information about which of the parks it should be credited to. The other part of it is sometimes there's projects or things that come up that doesn't fit in any other category. And it might be something that's not unique to one park or doesn't fit into any of the other categories. But we'll definitely get you more detail on that before.
Well, like I get it. Doggy bags, you bulk buy them and they go through the whole community, Like I get there's things that they all use commonly, but yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Right. Well, we're gonna pull that for you and get that for you in just a moment. Is there any other questions under park expenses?
There's comments. I don't know about questions. So.
I'm sorry.
No, I think you can keep going.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Pond expense. So Anderson Mill Pond and the Astor Park Pass Pond, those both were increased due to get some of the gravel and that, and some of the additional things we need to do to shore up the edges. The Cashel Pond also went up a little bit from 5,000 to 8,500. The rest of the ponds that are under these categories all stayed pretty much the same. As you can see, money didn't get spent last year on any of the ponds. So I think at least the thought process as we went through the budget was that we're going to need to move on these projects and get some of these things accomplished. So we're looking at, we had a budget of 57,500 and now it's 75,000. And I think that's caused just by the longer you put off doing some of these things, it ends up needing even more maintenance or cost sometimes part of that. So if there's not any questions there, I'll move to capital outlay. All right, under the capital outlay, under parks, we're keeping it the same, even though our numbers, we were told, let's go ahead and keep it at 75,000. We had some additional things that caused it to go up to 95,000. The two lift stations are both need repairs and maintenance, and so those numbers are based on what we're getting from your consultants on what needs to happen to get those lift stations properly maintained. But then you can see under sanitary sewer cleaning that number's going down. So that project is being reduced at this point in time. The rest of the items under capital outlay are staying the same. And the total capital outlay is going to go from 368 to 1,110,230. So your total income versus expenses for the year, if you were to adopt this budget, would leave you with a deficit of $485,122. Now, with that said, you currently have surplus funds of $5.6 million.
Authorized but
General
unissued.
fund, and that represents
No, she's talking the general fund.
approximately a year's worth of surplus, monies that you have reserved, as we might call it, in your account. And I think there's, if the board is discussing trying to do a lot of different projects this year, so you're going to have some costs as you try to get those things accomplished. So with that, I'm going to stop and.
Lisa, can I ask a question?
Yes.
It's Chris Rocco. On the lift stations, you call it capital outlay, but then you talked about repairs. These are going to extend the useful life of these two lift stations by multiple years. Do you have any idea, or our engineer, Grant, do you have any idea what we're talking about on these lift stations? When we do a redo like this, what kind of increase in the life of these things are we talking about?
I'm going to defer to the engineer.
Yeah, I'm asking him now. And just general, pull it out of.
And Jacob's online too.
Huh?
Jacob's online.
Oh, okay. Jacob, maybe you can help.
So this is or can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Jacob.
Jacob, we can't hear you at the moment. We could earlier.
I think you're muted, Jacob.
Well, let's go on. Whenever he gets back on, we'll ask him.
I do have a question just to clarify. So you've mentioned $5.6 million. Are you talking about that it's reserved, correct? Just to clarify.
That's correct.
Okay.
Based on looking at your annual expenses, and that's kind of the rule of thumb used in the industry, or really in any financial industry, is what are your annual expenses, and then what do you have in reserves? So right now you've got about 5.7 million, and if you were to adopt this budget, your expenses are almost exactly the same, 5.7 million.
Okay.
Now that's including over $1 million in capital outlay. But you don't have a capital projects fund, separate. You don't have, your bonds are all paid off. You don't have any, money designated from bonds for projects like that. So, you're fortunate enough to have that kind of a surplus where you can do it out of operating. And a year's worth of surplus is a good rule of thumb. 6 months is kind of the minimum that in the industry that we'd like to see, not less than 6 months. But a year is a healthy surplus to have. Because in this industry, and I know Cole and other consultants can speak to some of the crises that we've had in this industry, and whether it be a weather event or even a financial situation where all of a sudden the district is going to need cash for, an event.
Right. Okay, thanks.
So, or can you hear me now?
Now we can.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Issue with Bluetooth headphones, believe it or not. But back in the saddle. So to answer your question, Chris, about the useful life of the rehabs that we're putting together for the lift stations, the short answer is it does vary, But in general, we're replacing pumps, we're recoating piping, we're replacing generator. So we're doing a handful and replacing electrical equipment. You could probably say the average life expectancy increase for the station alone is probably 10 to 15 years. Each particular piece of equipment has different useful lives, of course. But
Okay.
once all the rehab is done, we probably would do repeated obviously check-ins at the station, and probably look into like recoat piping again at like 7 to 8 years after that. So the short answer is at 10. So if you're looking for like one solid number, it probably moves the useful life at least 10 to 15 years down the road.
Okay, thank you.
So Jacob, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What's the difference between
Yes, sir.
what we budgeted, which is the rehab, what you presented us, give me 1 second, the preliminary summary of cost, is that the same thing?
Yes, it should be. So one issue I noticed on the bookkeeping report in the budget, some of the engineering fees that have already been invoiced for those lift station rehab projects have not been allocated to that particular GL code.
Okay.
They've been lumped into the general consultation GL code. But yeah, as we've gone through the design, we've been updating our estimated construction costs for that project based on finalizing the design. So what's in the summary of costs that you guys have is our current estimate for the 2 lift station rehabs, with some contingency and the contracted engineering services that you guys have already signed up for.
Okay.
Out of that contracted engineering services, we've already invoiced you for a portion of that. I don't have that exact number, but Grant might have it on it.
So it's same work, rehab, right? It would be technically the same.
Is he still there?
We lost him again.
Jake?
Jacob, did you hear Hanoi?
I
Yeah,
did not hear all of it. What he
I
said.
think it's the same. So, yeah, because it's, the language is the same. So propose V. We're good, Jacob. Thank you.
Okay.
Lisa?
Have we made the questions that David had?
Yeah, so in the revenue, I have a concern with the fire protection revenue. Right now, on everybody's water bill, our fire protection, we are collecting $27.58. And I'm just wondering if that's the number that you took in consideration for that fire protection revenue. Since May 1st, it jumped up to $34.89, and we haven't been collecting that. Prior to that, so for a full year, it should have been $32.12, and we weren't collecting that. So that actually, if we added up the difference, that number, I think, jumps up over $160,000 if my math is correct.
That sounds like it. You're absolutely right. That number would jump up quite a bit.
Yeah, so was that ever considered? Because that would drop our deficit by a good amount.
It would help. Yeah, absolutely. It would definitely help.
So that is something that we have not been collecting, Board.
Let me pull that number. Let me go off that latest invoice and pull the actual number of homes that you're billed for, and then recalculate that for you. And while I do that, Jim is going to.
Can you hold on, Lisa, 1 second, please? Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Just one second, please.
That's fine.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I had it muted.
I just put it down.
Let me have it unmuted. Here.
Sorry, Lisa.
Yeah, it's unmuted. Go ahead. So are we collecting more for fire than we're being charged by the city?
No, we're collecting less. We are collecting right now on everybody's water bill is $27.58. Okay, we should be at $34.89 as of May 1st. A whole year went by, and it should have been $32.12 that we did not collect. So we lost out at about $103,000 this past year because we did not adjust the fire protection service fee on our water bill. It was in the rate order, but it was never adjusted on the bill.
How did that happen?
Operator, right? They have the.
If they have the rate order.
It's on the rate order. It's the operator's job to put it on the water bill.
Well, I believe they changed their rate order when that increase came through, but I think they've been collecting it earlier than when they actually incurred that increase.
I'm not sure the dates. I think the rate order now has it to where it's just a pass-through.
Oh, okay.
Now it is, yes.
Yeah,
That was the last
that-
rate order that we had, correct, yes.
The timing thing, David, with invoices coming in, it's hard to predict in advance. And so at the end of the year, sometimes the revenue that's coming in, and as far as the expenditures, as we're paying the bills when they come out, are on two different cycles. And so after the fiscal year end, we're modified accrual. So some items we do on an accrual basis. And things like this, these bills that you pay, we will reconcile and go back and, we're still making payments or still receiving collections for the prior year. We will then adjust it for that. So
Right, I get it for a month or two, but for a whole year, or even, it just doesn't add up to me.
When was the rate order approved, Cole?
well, I'll look into it right now and see, but like Cole said, it's structured to be a pass-through. And,
Yeah.
so I haven't worked with a lot of rate orders that do that.
I don't like it because then it doesn't
Base
put,
number, how does that work?
it doesn't put you on awareness of it. It doesn't put the operator in awareness of it. It's just, okay, we're gonna pass it through and it gets slip. Obviously, it wasn't like that and it still slipped, and now having it as a pass-through, it more likely will slip through.
So Lisa, I'm hearing it was just a couple of months. Is that correct? Is that what you have? Not a year, correct?
Cole's looking it up, he said it's just a few months.
It was
I think it was approved just a few months ago.
in
Revised.
April, we approved it in April, late April, because it started in May. May 1st, it started the change, but on our water bill, it says $27.58.
That's 4 months.
Hold on. So $27.58 is what it's on our water bill. It just went up in April, May 1st, to $34.89.
It's only 3 months.
Okay?
And that's just.
So that's just the $34.89. If you look at the letter from Cedar Park, it says your current rate is $32.12. So the $32.12 has not been collected in over a year, or since the $27.58 was implemented into that rate order. So it could be a year, it could be more, I don't know. But usually every year we adjust the rate order because they increase.
We don't do the billing comes through the operator and through, that information, that revenue comes through, and then we reconcile through the receipts, because of course you're paying for that through your water and sewer bill. And then we receive the invoices from the trash provider, garbage provider, and pay those bills. So that is, I'm failing to understand where you think we missed something. It's a timing thing on when you voted to change your rate order and when the contract kicked into effect for the increase.
Okay, let me try to explain.
David, if you want to give me the dates and everything that you have, I'll go through, and for the next meeting, I'll be able to.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make you all aware that this is what I found. And you want to dig into it some more,
I think we should, because I'm hearing 3 months here and then you're saying a year, so I do think we need to look at it more.
And,
I agree.
and other than fix it, what should we do?
I'm sorry, rather than fix it?
I said, other than fix it.
No, that's it, fix
Okay,
it.
so
We need to
don't go
come
back and charge the residents the additional.
No,
amount.
it was,
Oh, okay, okay.
No, we won't
That's-
We're
back,
not gonna
that's
do
not
that.
their mistake.
we won't back charge, no.
We don't need to.
Well, if you give us some time, it's hard for us to do an analysis of this.
Absolutely, I understand.
Yeah, so we will definitely look into it and see if, if there's something that doesn't seem correct. Again, a lot of time, and it's hard because it's about timing on when we receive revenue and when we are paying bills to vendors such as trash. And so it happens all the time in our industry, and it's usually reconciled at the end of the year.
If I make a comment, if I may make a comment, I apologize, Lisa, this is Carol, just a comment to Daryl. Daryl, just look at this, and then certainly for sure we want to have the correct thing today for forward, and then we'll look at what has happened in the past, but that's a priority, Daryl, is to look at that.
Are we continuing to discuss the budget, or where are we at, Madam President?
We're not, I don't think we're done. I don't think everybody has spoken yet.
Can I give you guys the breakdown for the difference of the 1,900 versus 29,000?
Sure.
When I received the bills from MNC Electric, I don't know which park or where these locations are, so I coded them all under other, which is replacing lamps, remounted tree lights, light bulbs, installation of a new pole and arm, tree lights. So all of those invoices from December until July totaled up to that 26,000.
Thank you for that clarification. So I think that's just a breakdown in the invoice that M&R does that doesn't specify where it is.
We should demand that they indicate like on a
Your address,
PO,
yeah, absolutely.
because there's no way we can do that without them.
And then we don't get the right numbers for the parks.
Right, and that's a way to make sure, we can tell when they're, what park they're charging for. So, Daryl, can we do that?
Yes, we'll work something out with Artesian.
Well, actually, it's with M&R.
M&R.
They,
Well,
M&C.
M&C.
so that we know how to ask them to put something on their invoice, we need to work with their Artesian to work out a system.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that clarification.
Okay, where are we now?
I'm sorry?
We had come to the end, which is a number of concern.
And just to remind you all, the budget is a living document, so you can change it, amend it at any time during the year. So you do have to adopt a budget by your fiscal year end, which is the 30th of this month. But if you all want to review the budget again at your next meeting, then we do the same process. We have to attach it, bookkeeper has to fill out the taxpayer impact statement, and we publish it, which is the end of the world. But what I'm trying to say is you can do that. So if you need to revisit your budget because things change in the future, you're allowed to go back.
So what do you recommend, Cole?
What do you mean?
I mean, should we adopt this budget even though I don't think anybody up here feels comfortable with the $485,000 deficit?
Well, if you don't adopt the budget now, you need to adopt it by the 30th of the month, so you could have a special meeting. So, but the difference is, with I don't have the correct budget, but the gap that you have one is you have a lot of capital projects that you put on.
Right.
Okay, so that's something that you don't necessarily need to take into account, because those are projects that don't have to happen currently. They're projects that, for example, the smart meters, that's $1 million project. Right now you all have discussed phasing out of doing $100,000 a year for 10 years.
We don't want to do that.
No, that's not a good recommendation. But you have projects and you have things within your budget where if you're in the negative now, yes, you can adopt that knowing that you'll have to shift some stuff around moving forward, or you'll have to dip into your reserves to cover that.
Right.
The idea behind, one reason the engineer produces, preliminary summary of costs for the smart meters, lift station rehab, sanitary sewer rehab, and service line inspection is because traditionally for large projects like that, right, supposed to be a whole district, those are large capital projects. So most districts will pay those out of capital projects funds or sell bonds for them. At this stage of the district, you're a mature district, so these are what we like to call maintenance bonds. So you're selling them to maintain district facilities. There's a life cycle. Districts are created. You issue bonds for all the initial infrastructure, and then you're pretty much good for about 20 to 30 years, and then the maintenance routine starts, where districts have to go in and you do these large-scale projects to go back in and maintain them. If within that 20 or 30 years, districts haven't built up their reserves to cover that, that's when you have to sell maintenance bonds. Some districts have, over time, built up hefty reserves to be able to pay for projects like that. That's not you all currently sitting here. It's not just your behavior, today or yesterday that did that. It's years worth of board members and decisions that the district's made over the past 15, 20 years to put you in the position right now where you have with your surplus. So it really, you can adopt it, you can have it on your agenda next month and give you all an opportunity to go through it again and see, is there stuff that we could cut? Is there adjustments we can make in our general budget?
That's what we're just doing.
So it's a board decision.
I wouldn't really adopt it this way. And you're in committee. So last year, these rehab station have been dragging, right? And so what I recommend is that we adopt them with just following the number of 25. That will bring us back into the positive. Look into the issuance of bonds, right? I would take that. I would take the 522 and the 360 off. Let's continue the same pattern from prior year. Let's focus into getting some good financial advice around the issuance of bonds. And then we can always come back and relook at the budget.
So you're saying take out the Dagama lift station rehab, take out the Sun Chase lift station rehab, so we're not in the negative and approve it that way?
I'm saying not approve it this way because there are two options on the table right now. So
Okay.
we might go down the path of issuing bonds for a holistic approach of repairing our district. We have a possible water leak. We have some major potential issues that we have to look, right, long-term, what would be the best course of action. I don't think necessarily budgeting this amount of money right now is the best decision. There are other options, which to me look very sustainable. The meters, how long have we been dragging these meters for? Forever. So I believe there are some avenues and paths of issuing bonds without really raising taxes.
Yeah,
We have to bring the financial advisor to see what would be the best option.
So you're saying there's options of not having to raise taxes, but if we issue bonds, won't it raise taxes?
Not necessarily.
I don't think that's necessarily. We can look into this in a way that we need the financial advisor. How can we issue bonds without raising taxes and keeping it low? And I think there's definitely some creative ways to doing that. I believe we need to look into investing in our district long-term.
Agreed.
Sewer lines, the Ghana lift station, the Sun Chase lift station. Water leak, potential water leak. Because we don't know what could happen tomorrow, right?
Well, we don't know what the reconciliation problem
And
is with water.
they've been denied for the past few years.
So
we
what I'm
can't keep-
saying
we can't
is,
keep doing that.
let's not make a budgetary decision when we are looking into potentially issuing bonds. The reason why we're in the negative, it's because these huge expenses. We're talking about close to $1 million.
Well, and
That
I mean,
wasn't there last year.
I don't know what your budget says. The one I'm looking at for meters just has 100,000. So that's not that's a tenth of the project, the full.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, you're right.
So,
That's my suggestion. I wouldn't post this with that.
So what do you
Number.
suggest?
Just take away the $552,000 to $360,000.
What about the $200,000 in parks?
We need to go, we're gonna have another meeting so we can talk about it.
We can talk about it right now, we're in a meeting right now.
Aren't you gonna go back to last year's numbers?
The
Well,
what?
we have to have everything in front of us.
Which
We need to
number?
have all the.
You're talking
No,
about.
actually, we can't talk
Who
about
are
the
The
ballpark?
stations, the larger numbers,
Can we
correct.
ballpark it?
Go back to last year's numbers.
Well, there's a few things that you.
Oh, yeah, we can go back to,
Last year's
No, I'm
numbers
not gonna do
were
that.
11,000.
right, just going back to what
Just
last
go
year's
back to last year's
numbers.
numbers.
Because we need to make it right.
I hate for
No,
it to
we
look, I
make
hate
it
to
right,
zero.
when we adjust it.
Huh?
I said,
I
don't
agree,
think we
let's
ought
just
to have
get it down,
zero.
No, I agree. I think we can follow the last
Well,
year
we're gonna do
numbers.
that right
Yeah,
now.
okay,
but not $1.
okay.
It's not $1.
Okay.
Almost $1 million.
My recommendation, I'd like to give my 2 cents on the budget this year, and
Give 3 cents.
you're a richer man than I am. So I think that there's still some area in this budget that we need to look at and really ask ourselves, why are we here? What is the purpose of this mud district? What is our goal? What are we trying to accomplish? As Hanoi said, infrastructure needs a lot of repair, needs a lot of attention, and I think that that is the main purpose of us here at this board. So, you know, in anybody's budget at home, you get rid of the needs, you get rid of the wants and you handle the needs. We need to cut the wants. I know, you know, Beth is a big advocate for parks. There's great advocacy for deed restrictions, but we need to prioritize what is important, what is our number one priority, and adjust the money accordingly. Maybe next year we can go back to deed enforcement, we can go back to spending more money on the parks. We have $5.6 million in reserves. Lisa said that 2.36 months is okay. She is not a financial advisor, but she has experience with other boards. Yes, I agree that we should look into a financial advisor to guide us. But if we dig into some of our reserves, cut back on some of our spending, and focus on why we are here for water, you know, we didn't even discuss sidewalk repairs. That's, you know, that Jacob's going to go look at, and, you know, are we going to take that on versus lift stations versus water pipes and sewage? So we really need to, you know, pull back a little bit, say, you know, what are we going to sacrifice this upcoming year? There's Christmas lights still on there. It doesn't take much to get us together, get the community together. We have the lights. Let's just get everybody to throw them on the trees, and that's what we have this year. We need to prioritize and just not spend the wants. So I am not, I want to see, you know, you're spending $706,000 on non-construction costs for these bonds. That's a big chunk of change, and plus the interest that is on top of those bonds. I live by Dave Ramsey, is no debt is the way to go, debt-free. And I think we got a lot of work to do to sacrifice a little bit. That's my 2 cents, thank you.
Well, I just want to make it very clear that, again, I think we need to hear from a financial advisor.
Right.
Other districts have gone to major issues where reserves weren't enough, right? And so,
Correct.
all I'm saying, there are some creative ways to doing this. I think the ones I understand, but it's not enough to cover, to bring back our infrastructure where it needs to be. We
I
are
think-
definitely an aging district. It's not about getting in debt. It's about how do we balance the issuance of bonds and also taking into consideration the surplus that we have. I think we can come up with a creative plan where we don't raise taxes, we can build a safety net, and yet we can ensure a good solar infrastructure in this district. I think we can do it. It's just a matter of talking to our financial advisor.
I thought he was gonna be here tonight, but no.
No.
Can we do that by
You're
the
doing your
30th?
tax rate tonight, and then you're, on the agenda, you have a line item to authorize, I think it's the budget committee, or the infrastructure committee, to work with the engineer and the financial advisor to discuss capital improvements and
Okay.
what types of
So
scenarios.
can we do that by the 30th? Because that's when it has to be set, right? That's when
Well,
we have
if
to
we
approve
take
the
off
budget.
this to come, if we take off the 2 lift stations, which we know can be done a different way,
We can
That
just keep the
brings
same
it-
number
Well,
from last year.
revert to the numbers from last year, don't put it 0.
Yeah, revert note to the numbers from last year. That still keep us
let's do it.
that will bring us back to the positive.
And in that conversation with the financial advisor, could we include Jacob as well? Because he
Yeah.
can this way say, okay, we could stretch it out here for this one, it doesn't need to be done immediately or whatever, so we can get some guidance on the direction of the improvements that need to be done.
Right. And by the way, we have had conversation from the infrastructure committee, both with our attorney and Jacob, and there are potential opportunities that we need to look into. I mean, these meters are important.
Very.
And so this is what they prepared for us.
Okay, so we're going to approve this budget, we're going to the line items.
Because somebody's gonna have to run some numbers.
The line items of G 5708 and 5709.
Nicole, can you run the numbers again, how we don't have our accounts? Can we give
So,
us the numbers?
if I'm hearing, sorry, I just might jump in, so
That's
I'm
fine.
hearing you're suggesting that maybe the lift stations be shelved till.
Correct, yes, just keep the same number from the approved budget of 25, line item G5708 and 09. If we can keep those numbers consistent, 81,000, 55,000, that should bring us back to the
Because
positive.
right now, if we just dropped them to 0, that would be our surplus would be 397.
Yeah, let's,
But what you're saying is keep the 136,000.
the 81,000 for line 08 and 55,000 for
Yeah.
line 09.
Yes.
Yep, and that should bring us back to the positive.
Thank you,
Yes,
Lisa.
that brings you to about 250,000 in surplus.
Which is higher than last year, correct? 'Cause
Yeah.
what I'm hearing is 158,590 last year, approved in 25. So the reason we went into negative was because those 2 capital improvement.
Yeah.
Right, so now we're higher this year. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What's the
That's
number?
correct. Yes, sir.
It was 250, she said.
200 what?
Surplus. Can you give us the number again, just make sure?
261,498.
261?
6148.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
498, I
trying to
think.
pull it up.
That's
real
without a
quick.
calculator.
It's easier for me to plug it into the spreadsheet than try to sit here and do
Yes,
it on a
right.
calculator. So if you don't mind,
I
I'm
think
just
that's what
gonna
it is.
take a moment here to.
That's fine.
The,
261,498.
right. I'm gonna pull up as quick as I can when everybody's waiting on you.
That's all right.
It never goes right, so, here we go, pulling up the spreadsheet now. So, just for clarification, the only changes that you're talking about at this moment is gonna be those 2 items,
Right,
is that correct?
yes.
We're
Yes.
going to reduce them back to what they were prior year.
Approved budget, right.
Alright. Make sure I got the right document that we're looking at. So Kim, alright, I got it.
Yes, you got it.
Yeah, I got it. I'm just making sure because there's been so many people with so many additions and changes and that we're trying to track changes from where. Okay, so if we go to 81 and 55, so that makes that number 261,498 in surplus.
That was without a calculator.
That's good. Chris?
I didn't know if I could still do it.
Instead of 485 in the negative.
Correct.
Okay. Can I make a motion now?
You may.
I make a motion that we accept the adjusted budget, removing the 5708 and 5709 back to the 24-25 approved budget numbers of 81,000 to 55,000 for an adjusted net income of 261,498.
Second that.
Any more discussion? All in favor? 4-1. Okay, we're gonna do things, well, are we good? Lisa?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
And just, again, as Cole said, budget can be changed at any time.
Right.
Okay.
It's something that we do have to adopt for 2026 at this meeting or by September 3rd, but you can always modify it.
Later.
Thank you so much.
I just want to make a quick comment on why I voted no is because I just don't feel comfortable voting for something that was not properly presented to the public. I feel that transparency is key, and having all the numbers that are fixed and we are prepared to go down that path the public should know, where we're heading. So I know it can be adjusted, it can be, but so that's why I voted no.
And hold on, we got one more comment, and then I promise you we're due next.
So I think we're very transparent. The budget is open. The budget will be published. And I think all I'm saying is I would encourage the public to also engage and come in and speak to an actual licensed financial advisor and people that have gone through this process many, many times in other districts. Look into the risk factors of our decision. So I think we are making a solid decision moving forward. So, and I don't think transparency should be a matter here because everything is published. The budget, we went line by line item. I believe everybody in this table had the chance to question the budget, so I disagree with the transparency comment.
Oh, it was just my opinion.
Transparency.
And I am very sorry, it's more on the budget than normally is, but Nelson, you may come up and speak. Sorry.
At this podium?
Yes, and so sorry you had to wait.
Not a problem.
It's 2 minutes for public comment, so I'll time you and then the board can address you.
Thank you, I'll be brief. My name is Nelson Chaffetz, and I received this notice of non-compliance from you, and I am here to refute this notice. It says that overnight parking is a deed restriction violation, and there's no other information on this notice. There's not a description of the car or a license plate number or anything. My neighbor happens to park in front of my house almost every night. It's a public street. I don't really have a problem with it. I suspect that is the excuse me. I suspect that is the car that you have a problem with. I took pictures of that car license plate.
Perfect.
And that's all.
Before I came here, I took a picture from opposite, from the other side of the street, showing the car and my house.
Perfect.
Just I am not in non-compliance.
Okay.
And so, I suspect, I'm not an enforcement and compliance officer.
You'll be
I'm not
fine.
going to tell my neighbor not to park there.
No, that's our responsibility.
That's our job.
That's what
Well, not ours, but deed enforcement, yes.
Thank you. So,
If you'll just send me an email or send either Chris or Beth an email, we'll send it on.
if I could get y'all to write your email address.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
part of the problem is
You may step up.
our enforcement people are no longer able to use the database and find out whose car that is. That law was changed, and so when they're driving around, they can't get that information.
I would also like to request that I get a letter saying that I am no longer not in compliance.
That's fine.
We can do that too.
Thank you.
What was your last name?
Chaffetz sits in the meeting.
Yeah, I wrote it.
This. Here's my name right here.
That's good. Thank you so much. I spelled it right. So
Oh.
very good.
Because I want to send an
I
email.
know,
Can I
that
get
paper
your email
disappeared so
address so I can
fast.
send you that?
Thank you.
My email. Where would you like to do it?
I'll write it back. It's just that if it's in front of your house, yes, you're gonna get it, but as long as we know whose it is, it'll be taken care of. And these were put together 25 years ago. It's something that's been, we don't make them, it's been put together for a long, long, long time. Years.
Here's my address.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah, you got it.
I gotta write it.
You good? Because y'all need the,
Hey, put your phone number on.
It's not .com, it's .org. It's .org.
thank y'all.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Glad to clear that up for you.
Thank you.
Take care.
I will excuse myself.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's boring sometimes, I know, thanks. Okay, so let's go to, we are on number 5, tax matters.
So how this works, just to remind you all, at the last meeting, based on your financial advisor's advice, you authorized publication of a total tax rate of 0.2734 on each $100 of assessed value. That limit does not put you above the Senate Bill 2 3.5% cap that is restricts developed districts. Basically what that means is if you go above that 3.5%, you have to have a rollback election, and then to have a rollback election, if voters go and they vote, you can roll back your tax rate to go under what that 3.5% is. You have not hit that, so you don't trigger any type of election or possibility of an election. So you publish that number, 2734. You can adopt that number or lower. You can never adopt a rate that's higher than what you've published. And so the step is what you do, and that this is really for you, is you'll conduct a public hearing. So you'll say, we're entering a public hearing to discuss the tax rate. If there are any members of the public who would like to discuss the tax rate, they have the opportunity to speak on the tax rate and give their opinions on that. And then after you have done that, you can close the hearing, and then you all as a board can adopt the order levying taxes, which is, and figure out which rate you want to adopt and adopt the order. And so you open the hearing, that's where you have your discussion with the public, with the board, and then you close the hearing and you adopt that.
Do you have the number that the average homeowner is going to pay increased in taxes for the
Yes,
year?
I do. Let's see.
$34?
No, $46, I believe.
Boy, that changed.
Oh. No, a $42 increase. $42 increase in the MUD tax bill for the average homestead owner.
For the year?
And we're
For
still
the
lower than Cedar Park, correct?
Right.
Yes.
We'll make that clear.
Let's see what Cedar Park they're adopting.
Some people think that we're higher, we're not.
Cedar Park's at 36 cents.
You're comparing apples to oranges.
Okay.
So this is your time to call for a hearing, open a hearing.
Okay, we're going to call for a hearing, and we are entering a public hearing regarding our district's proposed 2025 tax rate, and we need to adopt an order for this.
Well, if there's anyone who would like
Is
to-
there anybody that wants to speak about it?
I'd like
Come on. Well, Chris asked first.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, no,
I can
please.
sign up about it.
Please, go ahead.
Sorry, Linda.
No problem.
Alright, may I have 5 questions and then one ask for the board? I noticed that you also, I think this is for the first time, published a taxpayer impact statement.
Correct.
And it had a no new revenue tax rate budget number. What is the no new revenue tax rate that was calculated?
Do you have that? You have that, Cole?
I'm looking at the tax, the T&T sheet and seeing if that's on there. No new revenue.
Just want to make sure it's right.
Keep asking another question.
Okay. And I ask that because I've tried calculating it myself. It's a lot more complex than the M&O rate. And since your budget showed that your revenue went up, I was surprised that that number was equal to your proposed budget impact statement as well. All right, my other question is, I've been trying to learn how this works since 2022. Every year, including last year, you've always used the taxable value of both counties to compute the district average. Last year was the first year you used a weighted average. I love that. Been advocating for that. This year, it sounds like you've made another actually improvement, but I don't think you've been upfront about it. So I think the new advisor sounds like a good one to keep. It sounds like you use the market value of TCAD instead of the taxable value, and then you use the assessed value from Williamson CAD. And I'd like to understand, why the change this year, and why not be upfront about that? Why?
It's because our financial advisor did it, and I got to be real honest with you. I was not comfortable enough talking the various ways that you can calculate that with the financial advisor. We hired somebody that we felt like, even with our limited experience, they would provide us the service that the board and the taxpayers want. And this one came highly recommended, and I can find out from him what the reason was. It may be nothing more than that's what everybody's doing now. And I have a feeling.
I talked to the Williamson County Tax Office for the first time this year because I did the numbers, and you guys were at a 5.19% increase. And so that exceeded that 3.5% limit. Using everything I've learned.
Value of the district.
Using the taxable values and the same spreadsheet I asked for in that PIR from earlier this year. So everything that your financial advisor did for 2024, I replicated it with the numbers from WCAD and TCAD because I did a PIR on them too. I got those. And it was a 5.19% increase. So I was ready to go to Williamson County. Like, I'm done with this district. I keep telling them, like, figure it out, teach me how it works. Like, I just want to learn. And he said, you know what? It should be market. So that's why I want to know why you use assessed. Because he's saying, like, no, they just did it wrong every year. They finally are starting to get better at it. So that's great. That was, whoa, okay, that's awesome. But I really would love to learn why'd you use assessed instead of market if that's what the Williamson Tax Office is suggesting.
I hate to say that it's never come up before, but it's never come up before.
I have asked by emails. I ask a lot of emails.
Well,
but I've asked.
that needs to go to the financial advisor, and actually it needs to go to everybody that we've had as financial advisor.
Chris Lane.
To explain why they used what they did.
She said, we don't need a weighted average. We've been doing it this way forever, and we're just going to keep doing it that way. And so go talk to Travis County if you have a problem. It's like, I don't even live in Travis County. Okay. So.
And we do it, you got to remember, we got to do it with both. We have Williamson County and Travis County.
Exactly.
So ours is a little bit different just because of that.
What? He's done the math. He's very aware of that.
Oh, I understand. I know Chris very well.
The main point of this question is the why aside. Why was there just not a notice or here's a change? Even I understand not being able to talk to it yourself. That's fine. But hey, here's this change to your taxes. We're using these numbers. This calculation's being done differently than ever.
I didn't know that.
That's just information to pass along.
And that's fair. But then I guess my ask is, be more aware. Like, ask these questions of your financial advisor. I feel like this is a big part. Like, if you look at it, you can change it from being at 3.5% to 5.19% to 1-point-something%. I forget the number right now. That's what would happen if you actually used the market value. You could have actually raised the taxes even more if you had used the market value. This is a big way for you to kind of change these numbers and get more revenue. And what I really care about is just be legally compliant.
Okay, the problem with getting more revenue, it raises people's taxes.
And that's a different discussion, and I'll get to that part, but I just want you to be legally compliant. If you're going to tell us to not park on the street because our deed says that, whether that actually affects property values, then I want you to follow the law too. That goes with the public information requests and those statements. The reason I'm being a stickler for these is, these are laws, and I feel like you should follow them.
Well, I didn't know we weren't following the laws. We go through an independent audit every year, and one of the things that they audit is compliance with rules, regulations, and that includes the laws. So if we're not in compliance with some laws,
And the only way to know is to submit PIRs. And some of those took multiple rounds to get the right piece of data, because these are very important, but detailed and technical questions. Because it's like, where are you pulling this number from on the sheet? It makes a big difference. And it takes a couple of rounds to get that answer for them.
Mr. O'Toole, may I ask you a question? Do you know who regulates or oversees this process? Or who, if there was a mistake or there was something that you were not happy with, who could you go to say, hey, something's up here? Because, you know, it's your right to hold us accountable. And I appreciate the effort that you put into this. And maybe what he wants to hear is that going forward, we will consider going that route and asking the financial, and not forget to ask the financial advisor multiple ways and see where we're at. So, you know, I think Mr. O'Toole is just looking for improvement. He's praised us on getting better in certain things, but I think we need to commit to doing that via a board vote or something to say we're going to do it, we're going to stand by it, and we don't forget. So sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you.
I need to stop you for just a second, and we need to take a vote to extend this meeting because we are now at 2 hours. So can we make a motion for, sorry, Chris. So can we ask, you're going to do 45 more minutes?
It's pretty long.
I know.
would say an hour.
Okay, let's say an hour. Anybody have a discussion on that?
I move that we extend this meeting to an additional hour, 8:27.
All in favor? Aye. Sorry, Chris. I looked at the clock and went, whoops.
Thank you. Okay, I think 2 more questions and then I'll ask. The district stopped supplying the Williamson County Tax Office with the mandatory truth and taxation data since 2023. I was wondering if you all could send that data to the missing data and then start sending them again, like this year.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Typically, they reach out requesting it, and if we haven't received the request, we probably wouldn't send. I'll talk with my contacts at Williamson County, see where the lapse happened, and then we'll make sure they get everything they need.
And remember that the laws do just constantly change all the time, so I know you probably understand that.
Trying to follow them, yes.
Yes.
The proposed rate with the budget that you just approved, you just said you're exceeding, you'll have a surplus of like over $261,000. I feel like it's only right to ask like why you would choose that rate if you need that. But I know that's like a facetious question because what's missing on your budget is an important expense, not for the parks and the deed restriction, that's on there, but for these lift stations. And when the lift stations don't get repaired, we've already seen that we get sewage overflowing onto the street. So I feel uncomfortable, and as did you all, that you've approved that budget and now you're considering this rate on a budget that is probably in your head, but not the one you approved, and that feels weird. And then the last thing is an ask related to the budget, not any item on the budget, but like Cole said, it's a living document. And if you look at your 2025 budget, you'll see there's so many where it's like you budgeted 0 and you spent, tens of thousands or 100,000. I'm just asking that you make it a real living document. So especially, there's obviously a need that you're going to have to update it. Do that every couple months, or like every time you find that you're going to exceed something in that budget, you should actually just amend it instead of just waiting till the next year. That way you can track it, and then you can build that trust with us, because I think you're going to need that if you want us to vote for a bond. Because otherwise it's going to be like, oh, we vote for this bond, and what they'll do is they'll do some creative accounting, and they'll spend it on something other than what we voted for.
We already have $5 million voter approved bond
That's the one we're going for? That's just ungenuine. That's very disingenuous.
It's already been approved. I don't see anything that's not genuine about it.
It was approved 30 years ago, but none of us lived it.
No, it wasn't 30 years ago, David.
Yeah, so that's a fair point, but I still would think the right thing to do is to amend the budget whenever you feel like you're,
Okay.
you see you're getting sick.
First of all, this board did not pass last year's budget. Last year's budget was not put together real well. There were a lot of items that were missing from it that we just had to pick up again this year. All the previous boards that passed on all these expenses on the capital items, it just gets dumped on the board that finally decides to bite the bullet and get it done. You made some real good points, and I think adjusting the budget when it occurs, and we can ask the bookkeeper and Infomark to work together and do that.
And Chris, and remember, the house values come into play. That includes Glendale Hills. So all that comes in. So I'm hoping that you're looking at all of that.
Yes, he is. But the way the tax rates work.
Wait your turn.
Yeah, the way that, he's my friend, that's okay. The way the tax rates work, like even if the house values go down, you can increase revenue from taxes.
We know that.
So that's why, like, the deed restriction, that you're never getting that money back. Even if you, like, the property value thing is not a factor given the way the tax laws are.
I think what would solve this problem is to have our financial advisor give us a summarized, the procedures that they use to calculate all the information that they're recommending to us. Don't you think that would probably, because it's going to be the same one they use for everybody.
Yeah, I guess what I'm asking for is, like, at least a couple people on the board to take an interest in understanding how it works. And absolutely the financial advisor should be part of that conversation. Because I think if you understood how the tax rates work, you'd understand that even if the property values go down, you can still hit that 3.5%. You can increase your revenue every year. The popularity thing is a different thing.
Well, and I have always tried to keep the tax rate going down year after year after year. And one way to do that is not spend the money.
But it's actually gone up every year. The rate number can go down, but the impact goes up. I mean, the impact is all I care about. That's all any of us care about. That's what.
Go check. Go check the last few years, and the net effect that it is not. If it's gone up, it's been less than $100 a year.
Look at the last few years of public notices. They've all said you're going to increase the tax, the impact rate. That's what I'm saying. Like, taxes actually went up.
I'm sorry. I looked at it, and when we asked, like today, it was $42 or something like that. I can't remember the last year it's ever gone up. Maybe the 4 years I wasn't on the board, it went up. But prior to that, it had gone down every single year. And I know what you're talking about. Philadelphia right now, all their property values have gone down and their taxes have skyrocketed because they had to raise tax rates to cover all the expenses that the city has. And even though house values went down there, the city had the same amount of expenses to run the city, and they had to raise the tax rates. So no, I appreciate that, but I wish you'd check. I'll go look at the 4 years that I wasn't on the board.
I have all the notices back to 2021. I will gladly send them.
Okay.
I do want to make a couple of comments. The budget is a living document. I mean, we get to change it, right? And I agree with your following suggestion here. I do want to make it clear that we're still under the financial advising stage, so changes are coming, right? We as a board, I as an elected official have a fiduciary duty to consult with professionals to do their job. So we will listen to your advice. I'm listening to what you say, but ultimately it comes down to the professional that we have hired to advise us. So, I can't make any promise because again, I have a fiduciary duty to this board and to the public. And my fiduciary duty, it's not only doesn't rely on your comment, but on the professionals that we pay and we trust that will do that kind of work.
That makes me feel good to hear.
And I'm saying, I'm not saying that I don't appreciate you bringing this point. I think you've invested a lot of good time in knowledge, sharing that knowledge with us. I'm just saying that ultimately comes down to going with what our financial advisor is going to advise us to do.
Yeah.
Because they're contracted and paid for that. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
Yeah.
and from talking from the Williamson County Tax Office, this is the best financial advisor you've ever had. So if you're actually willing to have that conversation with them, I have confidence.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say the same about the last two advisors.
Yeah.
This one, yes.
Okay.
I have a question. So you said that there was we used two different, one in Williamson, one in Travis County, correct? Two different ways of calculating the value?
You pulled numbers from two different parts.
Right.
Both of them have a market value.
Okay.
But you pulled it from one and the other.
So the one you're suggesting, I can't even speak right now, is it too late, and this may be the financial advisor call, but is it too late to even look at that route and consider that option that he's speaking?
For
Too
this
late.
year.
For this
yeah.
year,
Are
okay.
you saying that one was market, one was assessed?
Yes.
So do we then assess with Williamson?
Yes.
Do we know when Travis released their assessed values? Because that's also a factor based on timing. Sometimes if it just, Harris County, Montgomery County, for example, were extremely delayed in releasing their assessed values. So a lot of districts that were under certain county guidelines had to go off that market value in order to adopt a tax rate lower. So that I'm not saying that's the case here. I'm just saying that potentially could be an option. I think my recommendation is I think you all as a board have your financial advisor come in a few months before tax rate season and go over the process with you all next year. And then send me an email and remind me, and I'll schedule a call or a Teams or something with the FAs, and you can kind of go through the whole process with them, and they can hash it out with you, kind of go over the calculations of what they do at least. Things might help out a little bit.
Yeah, and what I'm also hoping for is that since this is the closest you've been to right, or maybe this was right, maybe you're right, maybe Williamson County Tax Office is wrong and it shouldn't be market value, maybe it should be assessed. Like, if you figure that out now, and you write that down, and you make that a policy, then your next financial advisor, you can hand that to them and be like, this is how we want it done. And based on what you've learned here, right? And you don't go back to taxable, and you don't go back to simple averages. That one really bothered me. Because, 80% of us are in Williamson County, and we just put them together and divided by 2.
Is that something, Daryl, that we can put in a calendar, get with Cole to see when we can move that up so we can get that in the books already so we don't forget?
I can put that up.
Because, from here to, 9 months from now, it's not even on our mind.
Yeah, I can put that as a tick on the calendar.
Okay, Chris, are you good?
Thank you.
Thanks for paying, Chris, thank you.
Okay, Linda, now you can go.
Yeah, I just want to correct you, Beth. Although it is true that Cedar Park's tax rate is 9 cents on the 100 more, for that money, Cedar Park residents get their fire protection paid for, their trash paid for. Those are things that our residents are paying out of pocket, and that's over. Now, when you adjust the fire rate to be what it should be, that'll be about $60 a month. So it is not a comparison. I know you love to say that. It's higher in Cedar Park. It truly isn't. They get more for their money than the residents in this district get for the taxes they pay. And if this board will quit wasting the taxpayers' dollars, you won't need bonds. I find it deplorable that you would pull the lift station rehab to make your numbers look good. If you looked at Infomark's work orders for the month, Hanoi, you would find there's water in the dry well on Sunchase. That's what caused the Hatch lift station to fail, but their electronics were inside. So you're not even paying attention to the needs of the district. You pulled.
Let her speak.
This is about the tax rate. You need money for the infrastructure. You want to put more bonds into this district. Yes, Chris, they were approved back when this district was first built. That was in the late 80s, in the 80s. Those were pre-approved bonds. You are correct. But just because you can't manage your money You shouldn't indebt this district and the taxpayer to pay more bonds because you don't know how to manage money. It's evident in your financial reports, it's evident in your budget, and trying to implement your 5-year park plan, Beth, you find that a priority for the district? I don't see that as a priority.
Are you asking me a question?
No, I'm not. I'm making a statement.
Okay.
You have lift stations that need to be rehabbed. That needs to be your priority. You already saw what happens when you didn't do it.
You approved that. What? Yeah, so you approved that last year not to fix it.
The Hatch lift station, you're out of your mind. It was already broke. It failed in '23.
And you also did not approve to have the park fixed. So you have little children playing on ones.
No.
You were the president, Linda.
No.
I'm not gonna argue this.
Yeah, you shouldn't argue with me because
No,
I
I'm
have
not,
the
but you know
podium.
what, we're bailing you out, and that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, that's a good story, and I know that makes you feel better to say it. I want you to pay the district back for your legal fees. The
What legal fees?
$50,000 in legal fees for Amwana. I want you to also pay the district back.
Does this have anything to do?
What does it have to do with
Let her
tax
talk
rates?
it, because it's exactly what we need.
It
Let her say
is,
it.
you
It's
want to adjust the tax rate.
No, we don't want to adjust the tax rate.
You are
No, we're not.
collecting taxes while taking your personal expenses to the taxpayer.
Ma'am, I'm gonna ask for a point of order. This is completely
Yeah,
off the
this
chart.
is
The
completely off
truth
the
really
chart.
hurts. Go to education.org and you'll see what
Oh,
happens.
God. Are you counting this time as campaigning expenses? You know, it's supposed to be counted.
Okay, you know what, it all shows.
I'm not
that you lied.
campaigning, Chris.
Yeah, right.
Point of order.
Are there any other comments from the public regarding the district's tax rate? None? Okay, so what you can do at this time, unless the board has any more discussion or if you all want to talk about it, if afterwards you kind of close the hearing and then you adopt the order levying taxes. If you go with the recommended amount, it's the 2734. Sorry, I lost track. It's a 2734. So what you do is you adopt the order levying that tax rate, or if you go lower, you go lower. I can't give you the financial impact of that decision, but you do that, and then you approve the amendment to the district's information form and authorize our office to file it with the TCEQ. The information form, again, is essentially the notice to purchasers. So it'll update the notice to purchasers. It gets filed in the real property records. So residents in both Williamson County and Travis County will receive it, and it will be associated with their land. So that's high-level summary of those two items.
You have to formally close.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that require a motion or was that?
You can just say it's closed.
Okay, this is now closed, so we're going to approve the amendment to the district's information for our tax matters, the 2025 tax rate, which, am I correct, it is?
Plus 25, 26.
25 and 26, okay. 0.2734, correct, Cole?
2734.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. Anybody else have anything to say? Second?
Did you make a motion?
No, she made the motion. We have a second. Somebody second the motion.
I'll second that one.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Yes. This is not my strong suit. This, I think, speaking to a financial advisor, having this financial advisor here with us would help tremendously. But the way I thought or would like it to see this is that we, I'm sorry, I'm not.
You can keep going.
Yeah, you're interrupting. So.
No, I'm not interrupting you.
I'm letting you know that
Go for it.
it's very rude. I think we should have our budget, and if we can spend less money, we set the tax rate on that, but just to do the maximum. I was never a fan of just the maximum. Always bring it to the edge and just have enough there not to have a vote of the people, and that's what we have. I think that it would be proper to say, this is what we're gonna spend, this is what we need, and we can lower it to fit that amount of money that we need. But we've always just gone to the edge where we don't need a vote of the people, and then that's where we keep it. I really would like to see the district get the budget to a certain place that this is what we need, and then we set the budget and the percentage based on our needs at that point in time, not just let's max it out, spend that money, and move on.
Let's talk about taxes, David.
Yes, it is.
That's,
Are you listening?
yeah.
Are you processing it through your
We're
head?
going back on
Can we have
budget.
order, you cannot be,
Don't go back and forth, stick on the one topic.
So anyways, so yeah, that's how I would like to see the board come up with the budget to get that percentage, and not just go with the maximum amount every single year, but to really set the percentage on what we actually need to spend. That's it, thank you.
we're good.
Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Engineers report. Sorry to make you wait so late.
The first point is about the sanitary sewer heating and televising.
They just left again.
Construction is underway, and all 75,000 feet of pipe have been televised and submitted, but those submissions have incomplete reports. We are working with the contractor to receive complete reports so that the sanitary sewer system can be properly analyzed. Westwood will continue to update the board as video review and analysis proceeds.
You don't even have a preliminary? Well, I really wanted something before the budget was set, but we didn't approve it anyway. Okay.
The next point is the status of lead and copper rule revisions. EPA states that replacement plan, annual affected resident notification, delivery of point of use devices to affect residents, material verification, and increased sampling will be required by November 1st, 2027. And EPA requires that lead service lines be replaced within 10 years. Westwood has submitted the updated service line material database to the district, of the district for the TCQ. So the TCQ has been updated on Emerson Middle West 5 and 6.
And I have contacted who I think is the plumbing contractor for the first few sections, and I'm just waiting for a response, something in writing from him.
Okay.
Okay? And Jacob, if he's still on.
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. I'm waiting to get a response from him.
Okay, just keep us posted,
Yeah, I
please.
will.
The third point is on the status of the Galvin and Sunchase Lift Station rehabilitations. Westwood is in the final design phase of the project and will present the plans at the next infrastructure committee meeting. And let's see. This next point is of the infrastructure committee report. The meeting minutes from the last meeting are attached. If there are any comments. The next point is the sidewalk assessment work order. Westwood prepared a work order for the district.
I'm sorry, can we have a security outside? We need security outside.
Yeah, please. Because a board member left the table.
There's no rule against that.
What'd you say? The attorney's outside with them. We'll have to make a new rule. It's not working out. Go ahead, we're sorry that it's been
Sorry.
interrupted.
Westwood prepared a work order for a district-wide sidewalk assessment and presented it to the board at the March meeting. The work order was brought up at the latest infrastructure committee meeting because of the approval of the sidewalk resolution, and members of the committee requested that Westwood bring the work order to the board again. The work order has been attached. Sidewalk assessment report. We have an action item for board to approve Westwood sidewalk resolution work order.
I'm looking for it.
It's not in the, that's just the operator's packet. It's not in your.
I don't think I have, I don't.
Should be in the engineer's.
Thank you.
Yeah, they didn't print it out for us, and we don't have our iPads, so it's kind of hard to do business when you don't have your iPads.
Grant, would you repeat for me what you just said?
Yes.
That you're presenting to us tonight?
Yes. Because of the sidewalk resolution being approved last meeting, this is a work order for Westwood to assess the sidewalk, the district's sidewalks. Several of
Okay, I'm not seeing that document in front of me. So it's a work order to assess sidewalks for repair. Is that all? It has a list? Okay, thank you.
I'll just chime in and add a little additional commentary. We originally brought this work order at the request of the infrastructure committee back in like March. It's been tabled, and we brought it back upon request again by the infrastructure committee for board review. My personal opinion is you guys should table it as y'all figure out your budget and what projects and how you're gonna handle things. There's probably no need to authorize it, but we brought it just because it was being requested, so entirely up to y'all.
We're in the infrastructure committee, what do you want to do?
I think we should take Jacob's advice and table it. Yeah.
Jacob, can you add that to our next infrastructure committee meeting to go over that?
Sure.
Thank you.
the next point is update on
Carol, sorry.
The next point is update on other matters. The first point is the Lakeline Oaks CMU wall. Westwood inspected the site on August 11th and will continue to conduct quarterly inspections of the site. The next site visit will take place on Wednesday, November 5th. The next point is about the tracts of land from E.R. Horton.
No updates on that.
Hurry up and wait.
And then the next point is from the Hatch lift station pump replacement. The pump repair has been completed, and Infomark is preparing a proposal to the repair company to conduct a similar repair on the other pump in the lift station. And then The final point is on the annual budget review. Westwood has compiled a cost summary for the district review in the form of a proposed bond issuance to cover high-priority infrastructure projects. This is a draft and only reflects current discussed projects and will need to be discussed in greater detail with the infrastructure committee and the financial advisor. It's attached as well, but I've given you all the revised document.
We don't have any action we need to take on that, do we?
No. You kind of have a discussion point on
Right,
that
okay.
under new business.
In your report, wasn't there something about, to do with the bonds, to reach out to the community and see if that's what, I thought I saw it in there, I don't know if it was in their meeting minutes or in your bullet points, something regarding reaching out to the community about the bonds. Or am I hallucinating?
You might be hallucinating, but let me
Yeah.
confirm. I pulled up the minutes from that infrastructure meeting to see.
That doesn't ring a bell to me.
Really? I thought I read it in there.
Oh, it says necessary information should be put out for the district residents about bonds.
Oh, okay.
That's what.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, no, I thought it was referring to kind of getting input of the residents, and if it's something, I was under the impression that the bonds were going to be voted on by this current residents. But, okay, thank you.
So the way that, sorry.
I think that's all from me.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing on the infrastructure, sorry. There is water running down, what's this road? Hatch? No, not Hatch.
Old Mill?
Little Elm.
Little Elm, yeah, Little Elm behind the school. It's flowing pretty.
We found it today.
Yeah, it was like that in your last photo of the report. It was still, so that was what, last month?
Yeah.
And it's still running, so it's been 2 weeks of water running down.
It's
that
been,
channel.
it's tested.
Just wanted to let the infrastructure committee know. Thank you.
Thank you. You did a great job.
New business.
Okay, new business. Authorize infrastructure committee to work with engineer and financial advisor to discuss capital improvements and possible bond insurance.
And that is my agenda item, and I have a motion so that we can move forward to discuss. So I move to authorize the infrastructure committee to review the summary of costs, which has already been presented on the table, in projects for a potential bond issue.
I'll second.
Okay. Who wants to go first to talk about that?
Well, it's infrastructure. I would like to get started with that. Jacob, can you give us a run through of just a brief, just go over briefly. I'm trying to get here. The title letters are super small. The Williamson County, hold on, preliminary summary of costs. Sorry.
Sure.
Yep.
I think the first item is the water meters. I think there's a sewer line repair project in there, which is what we've had budgeted for the sewer line repairs after we get done with the cleaning and televising project and know what we need to fix. I think there's the lift station projects on there. I don't have it in front of me, Grant, what else is on there?
You've got the smart meter installation, which you mentioned, the 2 lift station rehabs, sanitary sewer rehab, and service line inspections.
Yeah, so the service line inspections for, what we've identified as the unknown service lines, so again, that could get taken off the list if we get validating information from Chris and the plumber. So I know those are the high priority water wastewater projects that have been identified. If we were to add, and this is all pending, feedback from our financial advisor and kind of where we sit with what we could issue from a bond perspective, if that's what they want to move forward. The next thing to add would probably be the first section phase of like water line replacement in your districts. If you go back and look at the asset management plan we did, there's obviously the oldest sections in your neighborhood are getting up there in age, and the water lines in those neighborhoods, and you could argue have reached their useful life. We're obviously seeing some fluctuations in your water accountability, which looking at the last 12-month average is at 86%. So if that was something that could be looked into, is if you wanted to make a bond package of a certain size and add another priority project, I would probably push for adding water line replacements. And then, so that's the top half, right? That's what's considered the hard cost of the bond package. The soft cost are the associated, cost of putting together the bond package. We got your legal and FA and engineering for the bond app report, and all the associated additional costs and insurance and things, which I'll definitely turn it over to Cole or y'all have to discuss with your FA about what those costs all entail, but that makes up what's considered the soft cost part of your bond package. So I think there was some question marks as to how much bond authority you have remaining. I'm not sure if that got cleared up before the meeting or not, but in the infrastructure committee meeting, that was discussed that if you did end up using all of your outstanding bond authority and you needed to sell additional bonds in the future, you would have to do a bond election, and that's probably where the commentary about going out to educate the public about what that would entail. So, I don't know if that answers your question, Harmoy, but it's kind of a breakdown of that document.
Yeah, I think that's clear. I mean, if it's over the 5 million that have been approved, we would have to reach out to the public, but we don't have to do for what already has been approved.
Not for what's what we call authorized but unissued.
Right.
Yeah, that's I describe it to districts like this. It's like you have a credit card with however much was voted. I think this district voted in the beginning third, it's on that notice version that you have, but it's around $30-something million, I believe, in bonds. You've issued all except for around $5 million.
And that was voted on when?
Whenever that bond was.
Which is when this district was created, correct?
Yeah,
there we
more
go.
than likely when the district was created.
Yeah. Chris said otherwise, so I just want to clarify that.
And so how I describe that to districts and to districts that aren't accustomed to issuing bonds is it's like a credit card that you get when you have a successful election. Let's say $50 million, even number. You go to the voters. You have this successful election to issue $50 million in debt. Everyone's first comment is always, "What's that going to do to my taxes?" Issue $50 million. That's an insane amount of money. That's not what it is. It's like you have a credit card that has a $50 million or gift card with $50 million on it, and every time you issue bonds, it just gets taken off of that until you get down to zero. When it gets down to zero, you have to go back out to the general public and have another election. So the public has to vote on the issuance of the next series of bonds. I'm actually doing a bond election right now in Wharton County for a mature district that was created in the 50s, and they're doing a bond election for about $48 million for maintenance rehab. But it's their CIP. They're looking 40 years in advance, and so they're saying we want to do this. This is everything we need to do in the next 40 years. Let's get the funds now. They're doing town hall meetings. Y'all aren't at that point right now, but so I guess what I was trying to say is, yes, you have that remaining authorization that's been previously voted on. It's what's called previously approved. And then if you zero that out, then if the district were to ever issue bonds again, you would have to go to the voters and do a bond election. It could fail 10 times. It could pass the first time. That's the hard work for districts to do, is doing that, especially a mature district.
Does that credit card ever expire? Is there a time limit that if you don't use it, you lose it?
Yes, there are instances in which what the Attorney General will call, the AG's office will call the bonds stale. And so, for example, I had a district that issued debt in 2019. Their election was in 1976, maybe. They issued one series of bonds, maybe in the early 80s, and then not until 2019, so almost 30 years later. AG's office took those as stale bonds. we made the argument that this particular district had not grown anymore since basically with the 1970s. So I kind of was able to put evidence in front of the AG's office to persuade them to allow this issuance, but the AG then required the district to forfeit the rest of its bond authorization and go back and have a fresh election.
So we're not in that period?
I don't think you're in that period. You all last issued bonds in 2011.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we are not in that.
We wouldn't go, if you all took the steps to, first off, it's a multi-layered process. So like right now, the noise motion is to authorize the infrastructure committee to work with the financial advisor and the engineer to kind of look at the projects, what's priority, considering the amount of money that we have on our gift card remaining, what can we do to have a minimal, if no impact to the tax rate whatsoever? How can we, and that's where the financial advisor comes in to get creative, where they can shift pennies from M&O to debt service or vice versa. That's their job. So, you know, if you do that stage, and they work together and they put some numbers together and some scenarios for you to look at, then let's say you vote on moving forward. What you do is you authorize the engineer to put together what's called a bond application report. That is a massive binder that has a lot of historical district information, but then also all of the information required by the state agencies who have governing authority over the district for their review to decide whether or not those projects are district projects and whether they're quote-unquote approved for the district to issue debt for. They all have to be public in purpose. There's a big threshold. So that typically takes the engineers anywhere from 60 to 90 days. It could take Westwood a little bit longer because they didn't do your last bond application, so it would be more collecting documents. But I think if you all got to that stage, then I would reach out to the Attorney General's office and talk with some of my attorneys over there that I work with and go over the scenario and just say, hey, before we get any further down this road, we want to make sure we're not in a stale bond situation. I don't think you are, but I would definitely confirm that before letting you all go down any further.
Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying that. That was very useful. Thank you.
Jacob, you still there? I guess he's.
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. When you were doing the age of our water pipes, did you take into consideration the blue poly replacements that we did in late 90s?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
That wasn't for the entire district, it was just for.
Right, exactly. That's right. Okay, I just want to make sure.
I mean, and full disclosure, we, poured through all 187,000 files that we received from Grant Engineering. We probably didn't catch everything, so.
Yeah, I understand.
There was zero institutional knowledge passed down to us. But we try to find projects that we can find.
Okay.
We have a motion on the table, correct?
Correct.
More discussion? I'm ready to vote.
Yeah, Chris seconded.
I second the
motion. Yeah.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. B, consider memorandum of understanding between district and Lakeline Oaks, HOA regarding sage management.
Madam President, was that in the folder?
There is nothing on that. That's just, Lakeline Oaks reached out. There's been some correspondence back and forth between Lakeline Oaks Board and the deed committee about what type of relationship Sage and the district is going to have with Lakeline Oaks. Lakeline Oaks contacted me asking for some sort of memorandum of understanding between the district and Lakeline Oaks. I'm not in the habit of doing work unless I'm authorized to do it by the district, so I told the contact with the Lakeline Oaks Board from an email that, I'll put it on the district's agenda, but it's up for the district to decide on whether they want me to draft a memorandum of understanding or not.
So my question is, have we heard if the full board voted on this?
I don't have any evidence other than the email that I sent you that just says, or that you were on, that, well, I'm sorry, hold It just says that the LLO board requested. So I don't attend the Lakeline HOA meetings,
So we're gonna put it off again until we hear from the full board on what they voted on. Unless you guys wanna make a motion on this.
I have a question, what are they asking for? This is, seems to me like,
So
is
they
it
have,
deed related?
the only thing I could share with you, really, the only way to put it is, they have their own management company, like we have a management company. They have their own management company. But that management company does not want to take pictures in the evening. They don't want to have to work at night.
And you're talking about management company for the deed enforcement?
For their deeds.
So they have their own
so
deed enforcement?
They have their own deed enforcements. So they're wanting to use our deed enforcements just for the evenings. But what I'm trying to get, because I do know of a board member that has not heard anything about this, that I'm trying to find out that all of the board members are participating in this and has there been a vote. I've not, Cole's tried, we don't know.
We've only been contacted by one board member.
That's it.
So there's a board of 3, correct?
Right.
And all you need is 2 to vote, correct?
Correct.
You don't need all 3 to vote. And 2 is a quorum, so.
However they do it.
So what
we
I'm
don't
hearing
have-
is you're asking them to ratify that there's a vote in place to.
Give us board minutes.
Board minutes to say, hey, we approve this.
Right.
We want to, that damn word, I can't say it. But we want a memo stating our relationship.
Yeah, Cole's working on it.
Well, I haven't started any work, but yeah, I mean, I will respond to the Lakeline Oaks HOA email address that I'm getting, and I'll just state the board's deferring action, but you can show us the board minutes where 2 directors, I guess it would be a quorum. I mean, I could do that, or I'm happy to forward this email to one of y'all or someone else, and they can handle it. I mean,
Is cost a related factor? Is that what they're trying to use our service at night because theirs is more expensive at night?
I don't know.
We don't have any idea what they're going to
We
pay
don't know
for
what
it. It's not.
They haven't
simple
said
yet,
anything.
So.
They've not even suggested what the memorandum would look like.
Okay.
I think the idea behind the memorandum is that they want Sage to go in and do the photographs and put reports, and then for Sage to give those reports to the Lakeline Oaks Board of Directors, and then the Board of Directors for Lakeline Oaks gets to decide on what they want to do, how they want to handle it. As opposed to currently how, right now, the Sage sends the photos to the deed restriction committee, whatever, that's the process that's in place. And so then this board decides on, or the committee and the board decides on what to do. Lakeline Oaks just wants Sage to go in and do the photos, but they don't want you all to decide on what to do. They want to decide on their own.
Yeah, right.
That's at least my understanding.
No, I think that's right.
Yes.
So, truthfully, I don't think it's a place for Sage to be because they have their own management company. I'm just saying.
Didn't Valente Hills have their own management company, and we're there, right?
Yeah,
We're in
they don't
Valente.
have their own management company anymore, do you?
No, not anymore, but they,
Yeah.
Carol, didn't you have a management company prior to the board?
We have a management company,
Good.
yes, but we do not have a deeds contract anymore.
Anymore, but you did.
Well, that's some years back, remember when that was brought up, because Valenti came and spoke to this board
Asking.
when I was not on this board, asking that they were paying 2 places. They were paying
Agreed.
in taxes here, and then they were paying as well in their HOA dues.
I just want to make sure that we're treating every neighborhood equally and fairly. If they want enforcement and we're giving it to Valente Hills and to Hunter's Glen 1, I think it's only appropriate
I don't
to.
believe it. Wherever there's management, they're doing their own.
Sage management goes into Hunter's Glen. So I think it's fair that they would ask.
But I understand, and I agree to a degree, but they're asking for a limited amount of use of Sage from the MUD, because they are employing or contracting with Sage separately for a portion, and they want us, for the other portion. I'm not opposed to that, but I think we need to be clear. If the MOU is, if it is an MOU is the document created, fine, but that needs to be clear that if Sage is going to come to them from the MUD, it's only going to be.
Well, they're gonna bill them differently, that is not gonna be part of us at all, that is with them, with their management company.
But why are they asking us?
Because they don't wanna, their management company doesn't wanna do it.
And you know that how, if they haven't
We
spoken?
had a meeting, we were asked to
You told
go,
us you haven't spoken to them.
but no one showed up. But that management company said they don't wanna do
Well,
it.
one of the board members called me, and I believe I'm understanding what they're asking, but it's confusing.
Yes, it is.
I'm
So-
okay with,
I mean, if they want it so bad, have their attorney draft a memorandum of understanding and send it to us. We're not gonna be following, I mean, if they're interested in our service, they should be providing a document of what they want.
That's what we said to them.
Huh?
It's other people that want it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I understand now.
well, I'm, in a generic answer, I'm okay with it, but it needs to be clear. And I think you're correct, it should be their attorney to draft the first MOU, and then they'll look at it and.
Okay, so let's move on. Number 8, general
No
manager.
action's necessary on
No
that,
action. General manager operation report, including,
What are you
I just said, do you want me to email the Lakeland Oaks board director, the email that I'm getting, and just let them know that you all would like their attorney to draft the MOU and send it to you for
or
review?
work with their people.
With their board and.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to work with their
So
board,
do
they
we
need
need
to
a
work
motion
with
for-
their people.
Do
We
we need
do
a
not need a motion for
for
that.
Cole to work with the attorney?
I'm not gonna work with the attorney until they send something out. I'm just gonna respond to this
Right.
email so I can.
Yeah, they have their own management. Okay, so, general manager, operations report.
We'll get through this pretty quick, it's pretty short. Streetlight survey was conducted the end of last month. There were 2 outages reported to PEC. Water accountability numbers this month did go down to 75%. We're waiting on a reply back from the city of Cedar Park to have a meeting with them, just to kind of go over possible, fluctuations, errors, something, on what could be, because I think it dipped down to 76% back in February.
You do know that we've done this before with them, numerous times.
We've got to try something.
I know, but I'm just saying, be ready to hear, they're gonna ask you, what should they be doing differently?
And maybe I'll have a fresh set of eyes and be able to see something. I don't know. The good thing is, once you get all your digital meters, there's a company that works for one of my other districts. They have pressure sensors and things, and with all that digital data, they have a mapping technology that can predict leaks.
Thank you.
Anyway, delinquent letters that were mailed, 115, 72 tags were hung, 13 disconnects. Land Art is about to put out, or Land Care, sorry. They're about to do their 4th turf application of fertilizer and things. I believe that's scheduled for next week. The fall mulch is scheduled for October. And the crew has removed the shrubs that were installed previously over there at the park that have since died, and we'll be replacing them with light plants.
When'd they do that?
He sent me the email today.
Yeah, because they weren't replaced Saturday.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
and they haven't been replaced yet.
Okay.
He's still gonna wait another couple of weeks probably.
Yeah, you
just
probably
to let
should.
the temperatures
Probably
go
should.
down again, to give them the best chance of
Okay,
survival.
well, the old ones were still there Saturday.
Was that under a warranty or something?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they warranted the plants for a year. There is, they replaced the valve that was broken kind of on this side of the building. This week, I forget what day, we were, resident, I think, called and said that the sprinklers over here were going nonstop, I think maybe over the weekend. I don't remember the exact date, but again, it's due to another valve that needs to be replaced. So I do have, it's the same amount, it's a duplicate of the previous quote, it's the same valve, just a different location. The valve is, the quote is for $745.69. That's the only thing that I have for your approval to be considered. Jumping back, sorry, I got ahead of myself. Mr. Intensity Power Washing, he needed a couple more weeks and is estimating now to be done with the walls on the 22nd of this month. The Anderson Mill West Park, the electric receptacles, that was completed, and also they've also replaced the street light that was hit by the car. They've replaced that, done all the wiring. We're just waiting on PEC to come actually install the light. And Park Protec, I believe they still have to come back out to replace some swings that were approved. They did put safety cones over the two balance steps that were damaged. And he was there, he did it, he was there like 2 days later and the safety cones got ripped off. I've asked him to look at that just to see if maybe he can just take those broken pieces out and just leave the base for right now. That may be better than those plastic pieces that inside of that balance step that's sitting there. And Land Care did complete the placement of the other valve on this side. Oh, last notice is, you may remember us talking about the billing system change. That's going to be happening this next billing cycle. So we can get some flyers and things like that, post it to your website as a blog if you'd like, just to communicate those changes to residents.
Please.
So again, the only thing for your consideration or approval is the replacement of the 1.5-inch irrigation valve for $745.69.
I'll make a motion that we replace that valve.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Anybody want to second that?
Already did.
I seconded it, or you're gonna say anything? Sorry, I'm looking at two things at one time. Are you gonna say?
All in favor?
You have anything to say? Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once. No?
I'm good.
No? 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 Okay, all in favor?
Fiber?
Yeah.
7:45, how much, 50 cents?
Okay, I'm gonna have to ask again, because it's about that time. I'm only gonna ask for about 10 minutes though. Can we ask to extend this meeting for 10 minutes?
Yes.
We might get it done, but we might not.
I make a motion we extend it 10 minutes.
All right, all in
So-
favor?
That motion also includes, your irrigation valve includes a report, right?
Right.
Okay.
I'm asking, let's see, we already did all that. I'm asking that we move 9 and 10 to the next meeting. We just don't, I don't.
Sure.
And I can tell you right now that Carol and I are already discussing the website maintenance.
Okay.
We talked about deep restriction committee.
Right.
Attorney's report?
The only item I have is that when I was doing district cleanup, I noticed that you all still had Oric as your bond, as the district's bond counsel. When you hired us to be bond counsel and general counsel. I've spoken with Oric's attorney actually on a few deals already, but my recommendation is for you all to terminate Oric unless you want to keep Oric on as bond counsel. But
I make a motion we terminate our contract with Oric, Harrington, and Sutcliffe as bond counsel.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Thank you. I'll miss the letter.
I don't think we need to do 12, correct? Nothing?
I don't have anything. No.
13, actions related to matters discussed during executive board, we do not. Except other matters that may become before the board, including discussion about items to be included on the next agenda.
Yeah, I have Cole, I want to discuss on our next agenda, drafting a resolution to limit directors in engaging in direct repairs in this district. I'm highly concerned of the potential risk and litigation factors of that, and so I want to add that into the agenda.
Limiting direct, or discussing
Limiting directors from engaging in direct services
Okay.
that we pay already for contractors to do.
Electrical engineers.
Directors are engaging in electrical work and stuff like that, which I'm highly concerned of. I'm also going to ask for rules to be reviewed.
That was going to be part of the website thing.
Okay, so then I'll wait for you to do that since
Okay.
you're doing that. So,
Okay.
So just on my end, resolution to limit directors from engaging in direct repairs in this district.
Earl, do you have anything?
He's jealous I could turn a screwdriver.
David, if you were to have fallen, there would have been a big problem. Okay, I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Hey, Chris.
They catch you at the emergency room because the last week, did this happen while you were working? And you let
Carol,
you
you want to take all these?
And then we get in trouble. Our workers' comp carrier would want to know why you're doing service work. Hey,